All right, everybody. So, before we get into what this is going to be, I just wanted to say thank you all for tuning into this. This is an incredible opportunity. I'm happy we're able to raise over $100, specifically $101 for charity. And if you're watching this around the time of the charity events finishing, the monkeys will be here Friday. We're going to be naming them on the Discord channel, which will be linked in the description below. So, without further ado, as promised, I will be reading Journey to the West. I had considered doing voices for this, for each of the characters, but in all honesty, I kind of want to just give my own personal commentary about this and kind of experience it with you guys. So the first 10 pages of Journey to the West. Keep in mind, we will be going to the end of the first book, which is when Sun Wukong is sealed underneath the mountain. The first 10 pages are actually not a story at all. It's the index. It's a very long index for the version of the book I'm reading. Keep in mind, the version I'm reading here is a full-length novel of the entirety of Journey to the West, over 1,000 pages long. The first 10 pages are just the index. So, the story, this version of it at least, starts with the following. There was atop that very mountain an immortal stone, which measured 6 feet tall and 5 inches in height. By the way, I'm mega dyslexic. Do not use this as like a study for Journey to the West. If you want to know about the book, go and have someone professional read this to you. I am mega dyslexic, and this is more just a funny thing. So, 6 feet wide, 5 inches in height, and 24 feet in circumference. This is a big ass round stone. It's been years since I read this. I don't remember anything about it. Okay. 5 celestial degrees, while the circumference of 24 feet compared to the 4 solar terms of the calendar. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay. On the stone were 9 perforations and 8 holes, which compared to the palace of the 9 celestials and the 8 trigrams throughout it leaked shards of trees and all sides. Okay. So this stone is oozing. And there are multiple pieces of this stone, which... What's wrong with this fucking thing? It was set off by Euphoria and Circumference. Can't even pronounce that word. On the left and right, since creation of the world, it had been nourished for a long period by seeds of the heavens and the earth, and by the essence of the sun and the moon, until quickly and effortlessly by the heavens it was quickened by divine inspiration and become pregnant with a divine embryo. One day it split open, birthing a stone egg. About the size of a playing ball. Exposed to the wind, it was transformed into a stone monkey, imbued with fully developed features and limbs, having learned to climb, run. This monkey bowed to the 4 quadrants which I believe are the cardinal directions. While two beams of golden light flashed from his eyes to reach even the palace of the Promistere. The light disturbed the great beholden sage of heaven, the celestial jade emperor of the most vibrant dynasty, who, attended by his divine mistress, was sitting on the cloud palace of golden arches in the treasure hall of the divine mist. Upon seeing this glimmer of golden beams, he ordered what the 1,000-mile eye and far wind ear to open the south heaven gate and look out. What the fuck does that mean? I think there's supposed to be titles, right? There's supposed to be titles. Surely that's not literal. So those are two people's titles. Although, if my title in the heavens was 1,000-mile eye and my brother's was far wind ear, I think I would just die, really. I think I would commit unalive, if you would. Anyways, they returned presently and reported, "Your subjects obey your command to locate the beams. Discover that they came from Flower Fruit Mountain at the border of Small Ale Country, which lies to the east of the... I'm going to butcher all these names, by the way. Providence, Proficinde continent, on the mountain of the immortal stone that gave birth to an egg. Exposed to the wind, it has transformed into a monkey, who, when bowing in the four quadrants, had flashed his eyes those golden beams that reach the palace of the Promenon. Now that he is taking some food and drink, the light is about to grow dim. The Jade Emperor pondered upon this. The Jade Emperor then declared, that's a really weird way to write that, these creatures from the world below are born of the essence of heaven and earth, and they need not surprise us. Well, that's probably good advice. The monkey in the mountain was able to walk, run, and leap about. He fled on grass and shrub. He fled on grass and fed on shrubs. Okay. Drank from the brooks and streams of the mountain, gathering mountain flowers and searching out fruits from trees. He made his companions of the tigers, lizards, the wolves, and the leopards. He befriended even the likes of elks and the deer. And he called the Gumbon and the Babon his kin. Get it? It's gorilla and baboon. I was making a joke. Ah, boy. At night he slept beneath the story rigid stars. Story rigid stars. And the stony rigid peaks. Story rigid stars and the stony rigid peaks. Okay. In the morning he sauntered and explored the caves and peaks of Flower Fruit Mountain. Truly, in the mountain there is no passing of time. The cold recedes, but no one knows it's not the year. So this book has pieces of poetry intermittently dispersed in it. So if I ever start sounding like I'm saying poetry, that's because it is. This book is also written very weirdly, like story-ridden stars and stony rigid peaks. Very odd. This is very different than the translation I originally read, and that was almost 10 years ago. Actually, I believe 2026 is when this was being recorded. So yeah, that was 10 years ago. On one very hot morning, he was playing with a group of monkeys under the shade of the same pine trees to escape the heat. Looking at them, each amongst himself, his own way by. So we have another very long piece of poetry here. Swinging from the branches, searching for flowers, they played 2 games or 3, which pebbles and pellets they curled salt pits, they built rare pagodas, what? They chased even the likes of stone dragonflies. They ran down tiny golden lizards, burrowed low into the sky. They worshipped bodhisattvas. They piled up the creeping vines. They planted mats upon the grass of gold. Oops. They searched and caught the lice and mice, that they squeeze a bit of death. They dressed their furry coats. They scraped the stone upon their fingernails. Those learning, those rubbing rubbed, those pushing pushed, those pressing pressed, those pulling pulled, those tugging tugged. Beneath the pine forest, and free to play, they wash themselves in green water streams. That's a very nice poetry. Very nice. As someone living in the modern age, and an atheist myself, this is very nice. I really do enjoy this. It's an allegory for childhood, essentially. So after the monkey had frolicked for a while, they went to bathe and battle in the mountain stream? Okay, I don't remember that part. And saw that the currents beyond splashed like tumbling melons. As the old saying goes, fowls have their foul speech, and beasts have their beast language. Essentially meaning the monkey understands the way of how rivers works. Okay. The monkeys said to each other, "We don't know where this water comes from. Since we have nothing to do today, let us follow the stream up to its source to have some fun." With shrieks of joy, they dragged along males and females, calling out to brothers and sisters. Scrambling up the mountain alongside the stream, reaching its source, they found a great waterfall. What they saw was a column of white rainbow rising, 1,000 yards of snow caps flying. The sea wind blows but cannot serve. What a river moonlight flows up forever. Its cold breath dives like green glistening jade. Its branches wet and vibrant shades. This torrent named a waterfall seems like a certain hanging tale. But it is a curtain hanging tall. Okay. All the monkeys clap their hands in jubilation. Marvelous water, marvelous water. So this is a waterfall. Yes, it is a waterfall, dear monkeys. With the stream at the base of the mountain, this means it must be its source. And flowers and all kinds flow directly from it. Even the great ocean. All flows directly out from this waterfall. Okay. They said also, if any of us had the ability to penetrate the curtain and find out whatever comes out from such a place. That is a really weird way to say that. If any of us held the ability to penetrate the curtain and find out whatever may come from such a place behind without hurting himself, we would honor him as a king. They gave the call 3 times. Suddenly, the stone monkey leaped from the crowd. He answered the challenge with a loud voice. I'll go in! I'll go in! What a monkey. For today is fame. Today is of fame will spread. Today is of fame will spread. That's an odd one. Fortune, the time does provoke. Fate to live in this place by the king of God's palace. That's another piece of poetry. Look at him. He closed his eyes, crouched low, and with one leap he jumped straight through the waterfall. Opening his eyes at a moment and raising his head to look around, he saw that there was neither water nor waves inside, only glimmering, shining stones and a bridge. He paused to collect himself and looked more carefully again. It was a bridge made of sheet iron. The water beneath it surged through a hole in the rock to reach the outside, filling in all the spaces under the arches. With a bend of his body, he climbed on the bridge, looking about as he walked, discovering a beautiful palace that seemed to be some kind of residence. Then he saw, it's another piece of poetry here, fresh moss piling up on indigo rocks, white clouds like jade afloat, a lotus-strewn mist of smoke, empty windows, quiet rooms, and covered flowers growing smooth on benches of green. Suspended, that's an odd one. Suspended in milky caves, a rare blossoming volume of the ground. Pans and stoves near the walls show traces of fire. Bottles and cups on the table contain leftovers. The stone seat and beds were truly lovely. The stone pots, and bowls, what the hell's a pat, were more praiseworthy. There were, furthermore, a soltov, a tin of, and a tall of bamboo. A soltov, a tins of, and a tall of bamboo. And 3 or 5 sprigs of plum flowers. With spigs of flowers still. Spigs? Spigs. My accent, that is, most people pronounce those sprigs, but I pronounce them spigs. With a few green pines always dropping in the rain, this place indeed resembled a home. Okay, so he found a house. After staring at the place for a long while, he jumped across the middle of the bridge and looked left and right. There in the middle was a stone tablet on which was inscribed a regularly large text. The letters read, "The Blessed Land of Flowers, Fruit Mountain. The Cave, Heaven of Water, Certain Cave Beyond. containing. That's odd poetry. Beside him with delight, the stone monkey quickly turned around to go back, closing his eyes, crouching down, and leaping out of the water. A great stroke of luck is upon us, he exclaimed to the two loud guffers. A great stroke of luck, the guffers replied. Guffers. I don't know what that word means. Guffers. The other two monkeys surrounded him. Oh, he's talking to monkeys he describes as a guffer. Okay. Along with them came a crowd. What is inside? One of them exclaimed. How deep does the water go? The stone monkey replied, There isn't any water at all. There is a sheet of iron along a bridge, and beyond that, a palace of heaven-sent prosperity. I like that. Heaven-sent prosperity. What do you mean the prosperity of heaven is in there? Asked a monkey. Laughing, the stone monkey said, This water splashes through a hole in the rock and fills the space under the bridge. Beside the bridge, there is a stone mansion with trees and flowers inside. There are stone ovens and stoves, stone pots and pans, stone beds and benches, and stone table in the middle of an inscription reading. And then it's the same. It is the same thing. So there's a stone table in there as well as a stone tablet in the middle of the bridge. The blessed land of the flower, Fruit Mountain, the cave of heavens of the water, Curtain Cave. Okay. This is truly the place for us to settle in. It is, moreover, a very spacious inside. It can hold thousands of young and old. Let's go, all of you, in there, right now. And spare ourselves from the subjects of the whims of the heavens, for we have in there... Oh, more poetry. A remnant from the wind... Oh, it's describing what it's like to be in a cave. Oh, I get it. A remnant of the wind, a shelter from the rain. You fear no frost or snow. You hear no thunderclap. Mist and smoke are brightened and smothered. Warmed by holy light, the pines are evergreen. Rare flowers daily new. When the monkeys heard that, they were delighted, saying, You go in first and lead the way. The stone monkey closed his eyes again, crouched low, and jumped inside. All of you, he cried, follow me in, follow me in. The bravest of the monkeys leaped in first, then the rest at once, but the more timid ones stuck out their heads and then drew them back, scratching their eyes, rubbing their jaws, and chattering their teeth and nostrils. After mulling it over for some time, they too bounded inside. Jumping across the bridge, they were all soon snatched by the sight. The sight of scratching dishes, clattering bowls, or fighting for the stoves and beds. They began pushing things hither and hither, befitting their stubbornly peckish nature of the ovens. The monkeys did not keep still for a moment, and stopped only when they were utterly exhausted. They saw the sight of all the other monkeys losing their damn minds. The stone monkey then solemnly took a seat above and then spoke. Gentlemen, If a man lacks trustworthiness, it is difficult to know what he can accomplish. You yourselves promised just now that whoever get in here and leave again without hurting himself would be honored as a king. Now that I have come in and gone out and come in, I have found for all of you this heaven which you may reside securely and enjoy the privilege of raising a family. Why don't you honor me as your king? Then the monkeys stood up. When they heard this, they all fell to their hands on their breasts and obeyed and prostrated themselves. Each one of them lined up according to their rank and age, and bowing relatively, they endorsed, "Long live our great king." From that moment, the stone monkey ascended from the throne of kingship. He did away with the word stone, and in his title, very odd, he assumed the title of Handsome Monkey King. There is no testament to say, but a poem, and said, "Tripping springs, matted with burgle and fair, a divine stone quickened by the sun and moon, changed from an egg to an ape, reached upon its great way. Limestone and structure matched elixir made. Formless inside he yanks no image known. Nor does he yield his own. Formless inside he yanks no image known, nor does he yield his own. His onward grace of courteous action show, in every age all person will yield to him. Hail a king, a sage, he is free to roam." Okay. The handsome Monkey King thus led a flock of... Well, that's that word again. Guftins, some of whom they appointed by him as officers and ministers. What does Guftins mean? They toured the flower fruit mountain in the morning, and then they lived in the water curtain cave at night. Living without concern, only concord and sympathy. They did not mingle with birds or beasts, but enjoyed their independence in perfect happiness. For such were the achievements and activities of the monkeys. In spring, they were gathered by the king for flowers, food, and drink. In summer, they went in a quest for fruits and substance. In autumn, they assumed trousses for gathering torres and chestnuts to ward off time. In the winter, they searched for yellows. In the winter, they searched for yellow sprims. 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 To live out the years. I think I actually remember this poem from my first time reading it. Keep in mind, it was 10 years ago. What is a sprim? Sprim This is supposed to be, casual reading of this. This is more me and you going through a journey. I have no idea what a sprim is. Oh, okay. So it refers to a form of DNA. Oh, okay. So it refers to a form of DNA usually found in creatures like mammals. It is a form of DNA contained in your offspring's DNA and often associated with the modification of different creatures. Specifically, this is a form of DNA that CRISPR can modify. Well, is said to be able to. Basically, it's your current DNA, not your offspring's DNA. It also states that it is primarily the DNA lacking from human sperm. So that makes sense. It's your current DNA, not your offspring's DNA. Often found in human offspring, though. So it's like, it's the DNA that you yourself have. Okay. That's a very weird poem. The handsome Monkey King had enjoyed this intoxicating existence for 300 or 400 years, when one day, while feasting with the rest of the monkeys, he suddenly grew sad and shed a few tears, alarmed by the monkeys surrounding him. Bowed down and asked, "What is disturbing the great king?" The Monkey King replied, "Though I am very happy at the moment, I am a little concerned about the future. Hence, I am distressed." I see. Very simple. The Monkey King exclaimed. All the monkeys laughed and said, "The great king indeed does not know contentment. Here we daily have our banquet on an immortal mountain in a blessed land, in an ancient cave of divine consonant. That was an unexpected word. We're not subject to the unicorn or the phoenix, nor are we governed by the rules of mankind. Such independence and comfort are irresistible and incredible blessings. Why then does he worry for the future?" The Monkey King then said, "Though we are not subject by the laws of man today, nor are we threatened by the rule of any bird or beast, old age and physical decay in the future will disclose the secrets of our salvation and will disclose the secrets of our salvation to the Yama, king of the underworld. If we die, shall we not have lived in vain, not being able to rank forever among the heavenly beings?" I mean, he's got a good point. Then the monkeys heard. When the monkeys heard this, they all converged in one. Their faces wept mournfully, each one troubled by the trying to hold it back, sorry. Each one wept mournfully, troubled by his independence. But look, for among their ranks a bareback monkey suddenly leapt forth and cried aloud, "If the great king is so foresightful, it may be well inclined the sprouting of his religious inclinations. There are among the 5 major divines of all living creatures only 3 species that are not subject to the Yama, king of the underworld." The Monkey King said, "Do you know who they are?" The monkey said, "They are the Buddhas, the immortals, and the holy sages." These three alone can avoid the wheel of a torment, as well as the process of birth and destruction, and live as long as heavens and earth and the mountains and streams. Where do they live? Asked the Monkey King. The monkey said, They do not live beyond the mountains, nor beyond this world. They live beyond the world of Jambuvipa, for they dwell within ancient caves on immortal mountains. When the Monkey King heard this, he was filled with delight, saying, Tomorrow I shall take my leave, and down the mountain I shall go, even if I have to wander with the clouds and the currents and the seas and the journey. Even to the distant of heavens, I intend to find these three kinds of people. I will learn from them how to be young forever and escape the calamity inflicted by King Yama. Lo, thus Unturius at once led him to leap free of the cycle's net, and the great sage equal to heaven was born. All the monkeys clapped their hands in jubilation, saying, Wonderful, wonderful. Tomorrow we shall source the mountain ranges to gather plenty of fruits, so that you may spend your time in luxury and banquet, and send you off, my king. The next day the monkeys' dilly-dally ended, and instead they dully, quietly went about gathering immortal peaches to pick rare fruits, to dig out mountain herbs, and to chop bamboo. My apologies. They brought in an ordinary manner of orchard and eucalyptus, exotic plants and strange flowers. They sat out on the stone chairs and stone tables, covering the table with immortal wine and food. Look at the golden balls and pearly petals, red raspins and yellow plums. Golden balls and pearly petals, and the charred, their colors harshly illuxless. I've actually heard this one. I remember this. This book has a lot of poems in it. Red ripeness and yellow plumpness are the plums. Their taste a fragrant tenderness, fresh loveliness, okay, of sweet plumps and thick skin. Of small pits and red sacs, green fruity pyrus of paradise. Upon the benches the yellow long and eternal fruit buds were held by their leave. Okay. Pears like rabbits' heads and dates like chicken hearts. It's describing a banquet of fruit and meat. Dispelled their thirst, your sorrow, and the efforts of the wise. From the wine's fragment, peaches and soft almonds are sweet as the elixir of life. Crisp and fresh plums and strawberries, and sour like cheese and buttermilk. Red plums and black seeds composed. The ripened watermelons flowed. 4 cloven of yellow rind, efful of big permissions guy. I don't even know what that one means. When the pomegranates were split wide, Cinnamon Grant's glistening eyes, like sparkling ruby gems. Huh. Yellow sperms overboiled, the tubes minced with seed of a water lily, and soup in stone pots swimming on the gentle fire. Mankind may boast in delish dates, but we can best the pleasures of the mountain monkeys. But what can best the pleasures of the mountain monkeys? Huh. Okay. The monkeys honored the king. Indeed they did. With a seat of the head of the table while they sat below according to age and rank. They drank for a whole day, each of the monkeys taking a turn to go forward and present the Monkey King with wine, flowers, and fruit. The next day the Monkey King rose early and gave the instruction, "Little ones, cut me some pine wood and make me a raft. Then find me a bamboo for a pole, and gather some fruit, and like that I'm going to leave." When all was ready, he got onto the raft by himself, pushing off. With all of his might, he drifted towards the great ocean. Taking advantage of the wind, he set sail for the border south of Jambulivapa continent. He is the consequence of this journey. That is so weirdly written. He is the consequence of this journey. Here are the consequences. He is the consequence of this journey. Here are the consequences. The heaven-born monkey, strong in magic might, he left the mountain and rode the raft to catch far wind. He drifted across the sea to seek immortal's way, determined in his heart and mind to achieve great things. It's his lot, his position. To quit earthly zeals, claim and carefree, he'll face a lofty sage. He'd meet, I think, a true... I actually like that. I think a true, deserving friend. The sour disclosed all dilemma will be known. The sour disclosed all of the dilemma will be known. Okay. It was indeed his fortune that after he boarded the raft, a strong southern wind, which lasted 4 days, sent him to the northwest coast of the border of Samjin continent. He took his pole to test the water. Finding it shallow one day, he abandoned the raft and jumped ashore. On the beach, there were people fishing, hunting wild geese, digging their clams, and finding clams in the sand. Finally, they drained and drank salt like water. He approached them, and making a weird face and some strange antics, he scared them into dropping their baskets and nets and scattered to the forest. One of them could not run and was caught by the Monkey King, who stripped him of his clothes and put them on himself. Huh? sorry, impersonating the way of the humans that wore them. That is a really funny image in my mind. With a swagger, he walked through the countryside and the provinces in... Okay, that's really funny. That's a really funny image in my head. I imagine him wearing clothes way too tight for his stone body, literally just walking with like a swagger walk. In both intimidating and impersonating human speech and human manners. In the marketplace, he rested by night in the dying of the moon. But he was bent to find the way of the Bodhisattvas, the immortals, and the holy sages. On discovering the formula and the formal for eternal youth, he saw, however, that the people of the world were all seekers after profit and fame. There was not one who showed concern for his appointed end. This is their lot. When will this end, this quest for fortune and fame, this tyrant of the early rising and retiring late? Riding on mules, they long for noble steeds. By now, prime ministers, they hope to be kings. For food and... Oh, okay. So I get what it's getting at. I was trying to, find the meaning of this. For food and reointment, they suffer for stress and strain, never fearing the Yama's call of reckoning, seeking wealth and power to give to their sons of sons. There's not one ever willing to turn back. The Monkey King searched diligently for the way of the immortal, but he had no chance of meeting it. Going through big cities and visiting small towns, he unwittingly spent 8 or 9 years on the the continent, the J continent. I cannot pronounce that. Before he suddenly came upon an ocean living beyond the continents. So, having built himself a raft like the previous one, he once again drifted across the Western Ocean until he reached the Western a continent. After its Apigadorehia continent. I'm very dyslexic. Goddamn. After landing, he searched for a long time, when all at once he came upon a tall, beautiful mountain, thick with forest at its base. Since he was afraid neither of wolves, nor tigers, nor lizards, or leopards, he went straight to the top, looking around. Indeed, he found something magnificent. 1,000 peaks stand like rows of spears, like 10,000 cicadas leaping into the air. The sunbeams lightly enclose the azure mist. Rare flowers of luxury grass and gold, all in season, blow across the isles of mountains of man. The call of blackbirds hidden near, the sound of streams rushing are very clear. Deep inside, deep cavernous orchards intertwine. On each rigid and orange sprout, lichens, moss, and everything follows the river down. Rising and falling, the ranges show a fine dragon's pulse. Here, the recluse of man must emit man to reside. As he was looking about, he suddenly heard the sound of a man speaking deep within the woods. Hurriedly, he dashed into the forest and cocked his ears to listen. It was someone singing, and the song went thus. I watch chase games, my axe handles rotten. I chop wood, zung zung the sound. I walk slowly by the clouds, fringe at the valley's entrance, selling my firewood to buy some wine. I am happy and I laugh without restraint. When the path of the forest is frosted and high, I face the moon, my pillow, the pine root. Sleeping till dawn, I find my familiar woods. I climb the planteast and scale the peaks to cut dry creeps with my axe. When I gather enough to make a load, I stroll singing through the marketplace and trade for 3 pints of rice with a navally sight and bracken it over a price so modest. Plots and schemes I do not know. Without vinegar or atone my life's prolonged simplicity. Thus I meet, if no immortals, would be a Taoist, seated quietly on the yellow court. When the handsome Monkey King heard this, he was filled with the delight. He was filled with the delight of an immortal, saying, "So the immortals are hiding in this place." He leaped at once into the forest, looking carefully. He found a woodcutter chopping firewood with an axe. The man he saw was very strangely attired. The Monkey King drew near and called out, "Revered immortal, your disciple raises his hands." The woodcutter, so flustered and frightened that he dropped his axe and turned to return to the situation. "Blasphemy, blasphemy," he said. I, a foolish fellow with handily enough clothes or food, how can I bear such a title as such an immortal? The Monkey King said, "If you are not an immortal, how is it that you speak his language?" The woodcutter asked, "What did I say that sounded like the language of an immortal?" The Monkey King explained, "When I came just now, frolicking through the forest edge upon the mountain's peak, I heard you sing. Those I met, if not immortal, would be Taoist, seated upon the yellow court. The yellow court contains the perfect words of the way and the virtue, and what we can be is immortal." So, what can you be but an immortal? What we can be is immortal, but what can you be but immortal? Laughing, the woodcutter said, "I can tell you this much. The tune of that lyric is named A Court Full of Blossoms, and it was taught me by an immortal and neighbor of mine. He saw that I had to struggle to make a living, and that my days were full of woes. So he told me to recite the poem whenever I was troubled. This, he said, would both comfort me and rid me of my difficulties. It happened that I was anxious about something just now, so I sung the song. It didn't occur to me that I wouldn't be overheard. by none than Monkey." Okay. None than Monkey. The Monkey King said, if you are a neighbor of an immortal, why don't you follow him to cultivate the way? Wouldn't it be nice to learn from him how to formulate eternal youth?" The woodcutter replied, "My lot has been a hard one, and my life has been difficult. When I was young, I was indebted to my parents' nurture until I was 8 or 9. As soon as I began to have some understanding of human affairs, my father unfortunately died, and my mother remained a widow. I have no brothers or sisters, so there was no alternative but for me alone to support and care for my mother. Now that my mother is growing old, all the more I dare not leave her. Moreover, my fields are rather barren and desolate, and we haven't enough food or clothing. I can't do more than chop 2 bundles of firewood to make to the market in exchange for a few pence. But buy a few pine rice bags. I cook that myself, serving it to my mother with the tea that I make. That's why I cannot practice the way and cultivate. For I cannot be altruistic." Monkey King said, "According to what you have said, you indeed are a gentleman of filleth pity, and you will certainly be rewarded in the future. I hope, however, that you will show me the way to the immortals' abodes, that I may retrieve upon him my calling." "It's not that far," the woodcutter said. "This mountain is called the Mountain of Mind and Heart, and in its cave..." Whoa, is that the mountain's full name? "The mountain is called the Mountain of Mind and Heart, and in it is the cave of the slanting moon and 3 stars. Okay. Inside the cave immersed disciples, even now there are 30 or 40 persons who practice cultivation with him. Follow this narrow path, travel to the south for about 7 or 8 miles, and you will come to his home." Grabbing the woodcutter, the Monkey King said, "Honored brother, go with me, and if I receive any benefit, I will I will not forget the favor you've graced." "What a bonehead fellow you are," the woodcutter said. "I just finished telling you these things, and yet you still don't understand. If I go with you, I won't be but neglecting my livelihood, and who will take care of my mother? I must chop my firewood. You go by yourself." The Monkey King heard this, and he took his leave. Emerging from the deep forest, he found the path and went past the slope of the hill. After he had traveled 7 or 8 miles, a cave dwelling indeed came into sight. He stood up straight to take a better look at this splendid sight. And this was what he saw. Mist and smoke in definitive brilliance. 1,000 stalks of old crypts, 10,000 stems of tall bamboo, 1,000 stalks of old crypts. Dropped in rain, half filled with the air and tender grass, 1,000 stems of tall bamboo. In some smoke will part the gleaming grass. Strange flowers spread. What? Beckons before the door. Jade-like grass emits fragrance beside the bridge. When the crane cries, their sounds reach amongst the marshing distant sky. When the phoenix soars up, it's plumb with 5 bright colors immersed. Black apes and white deer may come or hide. Golden lions and jade elephants may leave or bide. Look with care at this blessed holy place. It has the true semblance of paradise. he noticed that the door of the cave was tightly shut. As was quiet, there was no sign of any human inhabitant. He turned around suddenly, perceiving at the top of the cliff a stone tablet approximately 80 feet wide and over 30 feet tall. On it was written the letters, Mountain of the Mind and Heart, the Cave of Slanting Moon and 3 Stars. Immersed with pleasure, the handsome Monkey King exclaimed, People here are truly honest. This mountain and its cave really do exist. Well, let's see here. Next is, we're on page 20 currently. To be honest, I don't know exactly where this particular story stops. The entire Journey to the West is about 1,000 pages. So I'm guessing he is trapped under 5 Phases Mountains somewhere around maybe page 200. We will have to find out. But let's get started. This is a different day compared to the first recording. He stared at the place for a long time, but dared not knock. Instead, he jumped onto a branch of a pine tree, picked a few pine seeds, and ate them, and began to play. After a moment, he heard the door of the cave open with a squeak, and an immortal youth walked out. So this cave is... I imagine this cave is... Like, this cave is huge, and this door is massive, for some reason. Like, I imagine it's like a huge wall inside of a cave. His bearing was extraordinarily graceful. His features were highly refined. This was certainly no ordinary young mortal, for he had his hair bound with 2 silk cords, a white and red robe, 2 sleeves like the wind. His body and face seemed almost distant. After coming through the door, the boy shouted, Who is the cause of this disturbance? With a bound, the Monkey King leaped from the tree and went up to him, bowing. Immortal boy, he said, I am a seeker of the way of immortality. I would never dare cause such a disturbance. With a chuckle, the immortal youth asked, Are you a seeker of the way as well? Indeed I am, the Monkey King answered. My master at the house, the boy said. He just left his couch. Okay. What? He just left his couch to give a lecture on the performance before even announcing his theme. However, he would tell me to go and open the door to let out the smoke. He then said, There is someone outside who wants to practice the way of cultivation. You may go retrieve him, if you must, I suppose. That is a very weird paragraph. That is a very weird paragraph. So this master just immediately knew for a fact that Wukong was out there. Well, that makes sense. He's probably a master. Getting off of his couch to perform his lecture. Oh, that's a really weird one. The Monkey King smiled and said, That is most extraordinary. Yes, yes, indeed. I wish to practice cultivation. Okay. I think I get how this is. I think I get how this is. Hmm. Follow me, then, the boy said. The Monkey King set his clothes in order, organizing himself. The boy and him both walked to the depths of the caves. They passed rows and rows of lofty towers of huge jade and a cloven pearl chambers. Pearl chambers? Okay. Sometimes this book describes something that's kind of hard to describe, almost. It's hard to think about. Pearl. So, huge a cloven jade and pearl chambers. Specifically, pearly chambers. My apologies. What does that look like? I don't know. I imagine the walls are white and red. After walking through immensely quiet chambers and empty studios, they finally reached the base of the green jaded platform. Okay. I'm gonna actually try and it just says the patriarch, which I am assuming is the immortal that did all this. But it does mention his name shortly below, so I'm going to try and say this properly. It is Subohi. Subohi was seen seated sullenly on the platform, with 33 lesser immortals standing below him in rows. He was truly an immortal of great keen, purest of mind, who wanderest from the west. He had no end or birth, by work of the double three. As soon as the handsome Monkey King saw him, he prostrated himself. So the immortal already knew he came in. So, what is there to say, I wonder? I think I know. I think. What is this? Because, okay. Also, keep in mind, this book is an allegory. This book is an allegory for enlightenment, and the Monkey King represents the human mind, the consciousness of the mind. So what is this supposed to represent? That's what I'm trying to make my way through here. Anyways, the patriarch said, "Where do you come from? Let's hear you state clearly your name and country before... Let's hear you state your name and country." That's odd. "Before you begin speaking again." The monkey said, whoa, okay. They don't address him as the Monkey King right now. They address him as the monkey. "Your people came from the West Curtain Cave. The Western Curtain Cave of water. Of the Flower Fruit Mountain. In Alio country. From the East Providence of..." It's the P word again. "From the East Providence of I want to say Provutia continent. East Providence of the Provutia continent of an island." Okay. "Chase him out of here," the patriarch shouted. "He is nothing but a liar and a fabricated falsehood." He's nothing but a liar and a fabricator of falsehoods. That's an odd way to say that. How can he possibly be interested in attaining enlightenment? The Monkey King hastened to know the uncertain decision the patriarch had made. Holding his hands out, he said, "Your pupil's words are honest, without any form of deceit." The patriarch opened one eye, looking at him. He said, "If you were telling the truth, how is it that you mentioned the East Providence of..." That's that P word again. I want to say that's... I'm going to pronounce this differently every single fucking time. I want to say that is... Prahinde. The Providence Flower Fruit Mountain is from. It's the East Providence of that continent, specifically. Which makes it sound like a government owns it, but I'm pretty sure that's never actually stated. Separating that place and mine are two great oceans, and the entire region of the South Javimpa continent. How could you possibly get here? Again, knowing that the Monkey King said, "Your pupil drifted across the ocean and trudged through many regions more than 10 years before finding this place." I think he stated it was like 18 to 17 years. The patriarch said, "If you have come on such a long journey in many stages, I'll let you pass. What is your surname?" Zing. I'm guessing that is the term in Chinese. The Monkey King replied, "I have no temper." Zing. I don't know Chinese very well. It's fucking magical. That language is hieroglyphics to me. "If a man rebukes me, I am not offended. If he hits me, I am not angered. In fact, I simply reply to him a ceremonial greeting, and that's all. My whole life's without ill temper." "I'm not speaking of your temper," the patriarch said. "I'm asking after the name of your parents." Oh, yeah, those? I was born from a fucking space rock. I don't got none. It sounds like literally every one of my D&D characters I ever try and play. Like a being that is like born from nothing and is a creature of the elements. "I have no parents either," the Monkey King said. Why was he addressed as the monkey before? Whatever. The patriarch looked confused and said, "If you have no parents, you must have been born from a tree." The Monkey King said, "No, not a tree, but a rock. I recall that there used to be an immortal stone on Flower Fruit Mountain. I was born from that stone years back when it split open and became an egg." How does he know that? How does he know about that? Whatever, fucking magic stones or whatever. Fucking man, I don't give a shit. When the patriarch heard this, he was certainly surprised and said, "Well, it seems you have been created by the heavens and earth. Get up and show me how you walk." Snapping erratically, the Monkey King secured his clothes, and a couple of times he walked back and forth. The patriarch laughed and said, "Though your features are not the most attractive, you do resemble a monkey. Specifically, Hansu. Husu, actually, I believe is how you say that in English. A Husu monkey. It gives me an idea of taking a surname for you Based on your appearance, I intend to call you by the name Who. If I drop the animal radical from the word, what's left is a compound made up of two characters, gu and you, and gu means aged and you means female, but an aged female cannot reproduce. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? How did we get here? But an aged female cannot reproduce. Well, yes, assumedly the Monkey King can, so maybe it would not fit him. Is that what he's trying to say? Or is he like just making a general statement about something that has nothing to do with the fucking conversation? Whatever. Immortals are weird. Therefore, it is better to give you a surname of Sun. If I drop the animal radical from the word... God, what is... Are you fucking high right now, bro? I don't know. What I have left is a compound of Z and Ski. Z means boy and T means a baby. And that name exactly according to the fundamental doctrine of the baby boy. What are you talking about? So your surname will be Sun. When the Monkey King heard this, he was filled with delight. Splendid, splendid, he cried. Huh. At least I know my surname may be the master. Maybe from the master. Oh, so glorious he is. Since I have received a surname, let me be the one to give a personal name. So you can call me during functions and commands. The patriarch said, within my tradition are 12 characters that have been used to name pupils according to their divisions. You are one who belongs to the 13th generation. Okay. Which 12 characters are they? Asked the Monkey King. The patriarch replied, they are... Oh, jeez. I'm gonna butcher this, by the way. Chinese is fucking magic. Wide, which is Guyang. Great, which is Da. Wise, which is Zu. Intelligence, which is Hun. True, which is Zen. Sahen. Comforting, which is... I want to say it's Ru. Nature, which is Zhang. Sea, which is Hat. Sharp, which is Ying. Wake, which is Wu. Complete, which is Yun. Well, I just scrolled down. Awakening, which is Zhu. He rattled off several more before saying, to wake is Wu. You hence will be given the religious name Wake to the Void, Wu Kong. Alright. Wake to the Void. Splendid, splendid, said the Monkey King, laughing. Hence I shall be called Sun Wukong. I'm also noticing, for those of you who have actually played, for those of you who have actually played Black Myth Wukong, the quote, splendid, splendid, may seem familiar to you. This is the description, like if you read the description of Wukong's armor, that those two words are the description of each and every single piece of his cloud tread boots, his phoenix feathered hat. That's the quote from each of them. So it does bring more context to that level in the game. So that was that. For he had no name. Smashing stubborn void, wake to the void needs. We do not know what fruit of Taoist cultivation has succeeded in attaining afterwards. Let's listen to the explanation in the next chapter. This is Chapter 2. Fully worked and mightily awakened to the wondrous truths, he cut off Mamara, returns to the root, and joins the primal spirits. Okay. Now we were speaking of the handsome Monkey King, who gave his spirit. Receiving his name, jumped about joyfully and went forward to give the patriarch his grateful salute. What? The patriarch then ordered the congregation to lead Sun Wukong outdoors and teach him what the fuck? How to sprinkle water on the ground and dust, and how to speak and move with proper court. Proper court? Alright. The company of immortals obeyed and went outside with Wukong. Henceforth, he is often, I can already tell, just like looking ahead in the book a little bit, he is, from this point forwards, either referred to as Wukong or the Great Sage. He has dropped the title of the Handsome Monkey King. Who then bowed to his fellow students. They prepared, therefore, a place in the courtyard where he might sleep. Wow. Okay. He's just sleeping in the courtyard. Alright. Fair enough. Specifically, it says, in a place in the courtyard along the corridor where he might sleep. Next morning, he began to learn from his scholar mates the art of language and adequacy. He discussed with them the sculptors and the documents. He prepared categories, scrolls, and even burned incense. Such was his daily routine in the more luxury moments. There is a comma there. He would be sweeping the grounds, or hoeing the garden, planting flowers, or even pruning the trees, gathering firewood, or lighting fires, fetching water, or carrying drinks. He did not lack for whatever he needed, and thus he lived in the cave without realization for 6 or 7 years had slipped by. One by one, the patriarch ascended to the platform and took his high seat. Calling together all the immortals, he began to lecture on and on. Makes him sound like an old winded man. He spoke as, with words so flourish and elegant, the golden lotus sprung up from the ground. The Yarkarin's tails waved slowly and sprouted elegantly. His thunderous voice moved through the 9 heavens. His words full of eloquent and educated truths. Points to the birthless, showing names of the mystery of the world. Wukong, who was standing there and listened, was so pleased with the talk that he scratched his ear and rubbed his jaw. Grinning from ear to ear, he could not refrain from dancing on all fours. Suddenly the patriarch saw this and called to him and said, "Why are you madly jumping and dancing in the ranks and not listening to my lecture?" Wukong said, "Your pupil was devoutly listening to the lecture. When I heard such wonderful things from my from my less reviled, revered great master, I couldn't contain myself for joy and started to leap and prance about unconsciously. May my master please forgive my sins and my interruption." "Let me ask you," the patriarch said, pondering, "if you comprehend those words and the wonderful nature of them, do you know how long you have been in this cave?" Wukong said, "Your pupil is basic and feeble-minded, and does not know the number of seasons. I only remember whenever the fire burned out in the stove. I would go to the back of the mountain to gather firewood, finding a full pile and maybe a fine peach tree or two. I would eat my fill of 7 or 8 peaches." The patriarch said, "The mountain is named Pipe Ripe Peach Mountain. Peach Mountain. If you have ever eaten your fill 7 times or more, I suppose it must have been 7 years. What kind of Taoist art would you like to learn from me if you were so inclined to it?" Wukong said, "I am dependent on..." Hold on, I gotta scroll way down again. "Your Honor, my teacher, your pupil would gladly learn whatever has the smudge of Taoist flavor." The patriarch said, "Within the tradition of Tao, there are 360 divinities, all the practices of which may result in illumination of the truth. I do not know which divinity you would like to follow." 360 divinities. Is that supposed to be like arts? It's like anime? What the fuck? Honestly, a lot of animes are heavily based on this novel, and I can immediately see why. Despite this novel being from, 1637? It's a very old novel. It has characters that feel like they would be written today. Right? It feels like this could easily be written today by a really good author. And I think that's because this story is an allegory. Anyways, back to the story. "I'm dependent on the will of my honored teacher," said Wukong. "Your pupil is awfully obedient." "How would that be?" said the patriarch. If I taught you the practice of the method of divinity, which one would it be? Wukong asked, how would you explain the practice of method divinity? The practice of method divinity, the patriarch said, consists of summoning immortals and working the plants of divination, and by manipulating Yiru stalks. Plants of divination, and by manipulating the Yiru stalks, and of learning secrets of pursuing good and evil. Can this sort of practice lead to immortality? Wukong said. Impossible. Impossible, said the patriarch. I won't learn it then, Wukong said. How would it be? Perhaps another, said the patriarch again. If I taught you the practice of School of Divine. These are very odd names. What is the practice of the School of Divine? Asked Wukong. The School of Divine? Said the patriarch, includes the Conference of the Buddha and the Taoist, the dualistic nature, and the physical representation. They read scripture and recite prayer. They interview priests and conjure up saints and the like. Wukong pondered, saying, can this sort of practice lead to immortality? The patriarch said, if immortality is what you desire, this practice is like setting a pillar inside a wall. What? Wukong said, Master, I am a simple fellow. I do not know the idealisms of the marketplace or what's setting a pillar inside of a wall, but it sounds quite useless to me. Idealisms of the marketplace, or the use of setting a pillar inside of a wall, sounds quite useless to me. The patriarch said, when people build houses and want them to be sturdy, they place a pillar as a prop inside the wall. But someday the big mansion will decay and the pillar will not rot. What are you saying then? Wukong said. Is that not long lasting? I'm not going to learn this. I see. The patriarch said, how about... How would it be if I taught you the practice of silent divination? What is the aim exactly of silent divination? Wukong said. The patriarch answered, to cultivate fasting and abstinence. Through meditation and the art of cross-legged sitting, restraint of language, and a vegetable diet. There are also the practice of yogwa. Oh my god. Yogwine, which is the practice of exercising and standing prostrate in existence, and the standing prostrate in the art of comprehending existence through stillness. What the fuck? There's also the possibility of yoga. Could these achieve, Wukong asked, bring about immortality? There are no better than the unfired bricks of the kiln. Okay, those are pretty useless unless you fire them, yeah. Master indeed loves to beat around the bush. Wukong laughed. Damn, old man, you fucking long-winded. That's why you're a sage. Haven't I just told you that I know not the idolisms of the marketplace? What do you mean by unfired bricks of the kiln? The the patriarch replied, man, this dude has the patience of a god. The tiles and the bricks of the kiln may have been molded into shape, but if they have not been refined by water and fire, a heavy rain will one day make them crumble. So this lacks the potence I need? I don't want to learn it then, said Wukong. The patriarch said, how would it be if I taught you the practice of action through division? Action through division? What is the action through division exactly? Wukong said. Plenty of activities, the patriarch exclaimed, such as gathering the yin to nourish the yang, blending the bow and treading the arrow, and rubbing the navel past the breath. Okay. There are also the experiments which lead to such discoveries of alchemical and archaic formulas, burning and reforging cicada, taking red lead, making an ammonia stone? What the fuck is an ammonia stone? And drinking the milk of bridle, and the like. I'm also noticing a lot of these end with and the like, which is odd. Can such bring about a long life? Asked Wukong. To obtain immortality from such activities? Patriarch said, it is also like scooping the moon from the water. There you go again, master, cried Wukong. What do you mean by scooping the moon from the water? Patriarch said, when the moon is high in the sky, its reflection is in the water, though visible, therefore, you cannot scoop it out or catch it or even hold it from such a thing. It is merely an illusion of the water. I won't learn that either, said Wukong. When the patriarch heard this, he uttered a cry and jumped down from the high platform, pointing a ruler he held in his hand at Wukong, and said to him, what a mischievous monkey you are! You won't learn this, you won't learn that. Just what is it that you are waiting for? Moving forward, he hit Wukong 3 times on the head, then folded his arms behind him and walked back inside, closing the main door behind him and leaving the congregation standing outside. Those who were listening to the lecture were so terrified that everyone began to berate Wukong. You reckless ape, they cried. You're utterly without manners. The master was prepared to teach you magic secrets. Why weren't you so willing to learn? Why did you have to argue with him instead? Now you have offended him, and who knows when he'll come out again. At that moment, they all resented him and resigned themselves. They despised him, but Wukong did not argue in the least, and only replied with a broad grin. For the Monkey King, in fact, had already solved the secret. Oh, I get it. I don't remember this part, but I do kind of get what he's saying. Unfired brick scooping the moon from the water. I kind of do get what he's saying. The riddle in the pot. He therefore did not quarrel with the other people, but patiently held his tongue. He reasoned that the master, by hitting him 3 times, was letting him to prepare himself for the 3rd watch. By folding his arms behind his back, walking inside, closing the main doors, was telling him to enter the back door so he might receive instructions in secret. See, I thought he was trying to tell him something, because like he kept using analogies that were like really weird, and then instead of being like, okay, I'll teach you this instead, he would tell Wukong the source of the analogies. So I was like, what the fuck is he trying to mean here? Because he's clearly trying to tell him something. You wouldn't like constantly explain useless allegories to this monkey. What are you trying to do here? But I did not remember this part, but I do remember something about Third Watch. Something it's been almost, I think it's been almost 11 years now since I've read this book. Wukong spent the rest of the day happily with the other pupils in front of the divine cave of 3 stars, eagerly waiting for the night. When the evening arrived, he immediately He immediately retired with the others, pretending to sleep by closing his eyes, breathing evenly, and remaining completely still. Since there was no watchman in the mountain to beat the watch or call of the hour, he could not tell what time it was. He could only rely on his own calculations by counting breaths he inhaled and exhaled. What is this supposed to mean? Approximately at the hour of Z, he arose very quietly and put on his clothes. Stealthily, opening the front door, he slipped away from the crowd and walked outside. Lifting his head, he saw the bright moon and the cool, clear dew, though in each corner not a speck of dust filtered, flowing through rooted trees. A brook glistening gently in its source. Darting fireflies disappeared to the gloom. Time to seek the way whole and true, for the 3rd hour of watch cometh. You saw him follow the familiar path back to the rear entrance, where he discovered the door was indeed ajar. Wukong said happily, the revered master truly intended to give me instructions. That's why the door was left open. He reached for the door, wrenching it open in a few large strides, and entered sideways. Walking to the patriarch's bed, he found him asleep and his body curled up, facing the wall. Wukong dared not disturb him. Instead, he kneeled before his bed. After a little while, the patriarch awakened, stretching his legs. The patriarch awoke and stretching his legs, he recited to himself, "Hard, hard, the way is most obscure, Deem not the gold elixir of common things without a perfect man's transmutation and subtle ruin. You'd have vain words, worn mouth, and tongue waxed dry. Master, Wukong responded at once, your pupil has been kneeling here, waiting for you for a long time. When the patriarch heard Wukong's voice, he rose to put on his clothes. You mischievous monkey, he exclaimed, sitting down cross-legged. Why aren't you sleeping in front? What are you doing back here in my place? Wukong replied, before the platform, during the congregation yesterday, the master gave the order that your pupil, at the hour of the third watch, should come here through the rear entrance in order that he might be instructed. I was therefore bold enough to come directly to the master's bed. When the patriarch heard this, he was terribly pleased, thinking to himself, this fellow is indeed an offspring of heaven and earth. If not, how could he solve this riddle in my pot? There is no third party here save your pupil, Wukong said. May the master be extraordinarily merciful and impart to me the way of long life, or I shall never forget his graceful favor. A gracious favor. Since you had solved the riddle in the pot, the patriarch said, it is an idea. Therefore, it is an idea that you are destined to learn, and I am glad to teach you. Come closer and listen carefully. I will impart to you the wondrous way of long life. Wukong bowed to express his gratitude, washing back and forth his ears, and listened attentively. Kneeling before the bed, the patriarch said, this bold secret saying that wondrous and true, spare nurse nature and life, there is nothing else. All power resides in the semen, breath, and spirit. Store these secret lest there be leaks. What does that mean? Lest there be leak. Lest there be a leak, keep within the body. Heed my lecture, and the way itself will thrive. Is it talking about like keeping your energy in your body? What is bro on about? Okay, well, keep within the body. Heed my teaching, and the way itself, hold fast. Oral forms so useful and keen, purge the consequences to receive pure cool. To pure cool? Where the light is bright, you'll face the elixir platform, enjoying the moon. The moon holds the jade rabbit, the sun, and the crow. The torso and snake are now tightly intertwined. Nature and life are strong. You can plant golden lotus amongst them in the midst of flame. Squeeze the 5 phases gently. Use them back and forth. Then, what's done? Be a Buddha or an immortal at will. I think I know what he's trying to say. I think I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to basically say, keep your energy within you, right? He's trying to say, like, do not let anything go. Keep all of your energy and yourself within you. Don't let anything out into the world. Be like a completely self-sufficient being that only takes from the world. I think that's what he's trying to say. I don't know, but pretty cool way to become immortal. I've always dreamt of being immortal. I really want to go crazy with it. Literally, I want to go crazy. At that moment, the very origin was disclosed to Wukong, whose mind became enraptured and blessed. The boundless void had come to him. He carefully committed it to memory, all the oral formals and formulas of knowing. After thanking the patriarch, he left by the rear entrance. As he went, he saw that the eastern sky began to pale with light. The golden beams show all the western ray. The golden beams shone on the westward way. Following the same path, he reunited to the following the same path, he reunited with the front door. Okay. Pushing it open quietly and went inside. He sat up in his sleeping pile and purposely rustled the bed and the covers, crying, it's light, get up." All the others were still sleeping and did not know that Wukong had received a good thing. He played the fool that day after getting up, but he prioritized what he had learned in secret. By doing breathing exercises before the hour of Z and after the hour of Wu, 3 years went by swiftly, and the patriarch again mounted his throne to lecture to the multitude. He discussed the scholarly disturbances and the pride. He discussed his scholarly disturbances and the pridals. And he went on about his discord of the instrumental extraordinary conduct. Suddenly he asked, "Where's Wukong?" Wukong drew near and knelt down. "Your pupil is here," he said. "What sort of art have you been practicing lately?" the patriarch said. "Recently," Wukong said, "your pupil has begun to apprehend the nature of all things, and my fundamental knowledge has been firmly established. If you had understood the Dala's nature to apprehend the origin," said the patriarch, "you have in fact entered into the divine substance. You need, however, to guard against the dangers of the three calamities. Fuck? When Wukong heard this, he thought for a long time and said, "The words of the master must be heard. I have frequently heard that one is learning the way of the exile in virtue. He will only enjoy the same age as heaven's fire and water cannot harm him, and even kind of diseases will not vanquish him. How can there be such a danger of three calamities? What you have learned," the patriarch said, "is no ordinary magic. You have stolen the creative powers of heaven and earth and invaded the dark mystery of the sun and moon. Your success is perfect. The elixir is Your success is perfect. The elixir is something that the gods and the demons cannot contest." So this form of immortality, the gods and the demons don't have power over it. Your appearance will be preserved and your age lengthened. After 500 years, heaven will send down a calamity of thunder to strike you. Hence, you must be intelligent and wise enough to avoid it ahead of time. If you can escape it, your age will indeed equal the heavens. If not, your life will thus be finished. After another 500 years, heaven will send down the calamity of fire to burn you. The fire is neither natural or common fire. Its name is the fire of Yin, and it arises from within the soles of your feet to reach even the cavities of your heart, reducing you entirely to ashes, and your limbs to utter ruin. The labor of millennia will then have been made complete. Another 500 years, the calamity of wind will be sent down to you. It is not the wind from the north or the east or the west, nor is it the wind from the four seasons, nor is it the wind that flows through flowers, willows, pines, or bamboo. It is called the mighty wind, and it enters from the top of your skull into the body, pressing thoroughly to the midriff, and penetrates the 9 quadrants and apertures. The bones and flesh will be dissolved, and the body itself will disintegrate. You must therefore avoid all 3 calamities. When Wukong heard this, his hair stood up on end, and he said, "I beg the master to be merciful and impart to me the method to avoid these 3 calamities. To the very end, I shall never forget your graceful favor." I'm noticing gracious and graceful are somewhat mixed up at times, both in my head and on the book. The patriarch said, "It is not, in fact, difficult. Expect that I cannot teach you because you are somewhat difficult and different from other people. I have a round head pointing to heaven," said Wukong, "and square feet walking on earth. Similar, I have 9 apertures and 4 limbs." That's technically wrong. Okay. In what way am I different from people? The patriarch said, though you resemble a man, you have less jowl. The monkey said, nothing. The monkey, you see. The monkey said nothing as the patriarch sees. What? The monkey said nothing as the patriarch sees. His angular face, his hollow cheeks, and a pointed mouth. Stretching his hand to feel himself, Wukong laughed and said, the master does not know how to balance matters. Though I have much less jowl than a human being, I have my pouch, which I certainly share, considering all of my companions. Very well, then, said the patriarch. What method of escape would you like to learn? There is the art of heavenly... What? There is the art of the heavenly ladle, which numbers 36 transformations. And there is the art of earthly multitude, which numbers 72 transformations. Wukong said, Your pupil is always eager to catch more fish. I'll learn the art of earthly multitude. In that case, the patriarch said, come up here and I'll pass on the oral formulas to you. Interesting. One day when the patriarch and the vicious, vibrant pupil were admiring the evening view, he whispered something into Wukong's ear, though he did not know what sort of wondrous secrets he spoke of. But this Monkey King was someone... Oh, there he's referred to the Monkey King. Was someone who, knowing one thing, could understand 100. He immediately learned the oral formulas, and after working at them and practicing them, he mastered all 72 transformations. Upon that night, Wukong, in the Cave of 3 Stars, asked the master asked, Wukong, has the matter been perfected? Wukong said, thanks to the profound kindness of the master, your pupil has indeed attained perfection. I now can assume and accrue forms like mist into the air and even fly. The patriarch said, let me see you try to fly. Wishing to display his ability, Wukong leaped forth 50 or 60 feet into the air, pulling himself... Oh, hold on, let me scroll down. The pages for this book are very long, so I have to scroll down very far to get to the next one. He somersaulted. He tread the clouds for about the time of a meal and traveled a distance of no more than 3 miles before dropping down again to stand before the patriarch. Master, he said, his hands folding in front of him. This is a flying cloud. This is a flying cloud soaring mist. Flying cloud soaring mist. Laughing, the patriarch said, this can't be called cloud soaring. It's more like cloud crawling. The old saying goes, the immortal traverses the North Sea in the morning, reaches the Kangoo by night. If it takes you half a day to go less than 3 miles, it can't be considered cloud crawling. What do you mean? Wukong asked. By saying the immortal trouses the North Sea in the morning and reaches Kangway by night. Patriarch said, those who are capable of cloud soaring may start from the North Sea in the morning, journey through the East and the West and the South Sea, and return again to Kangway. Kangway refers to the Ling in the North Sea. It can be called true cloud soaring only when you traverse all 4 seas in one day. That would be huge. That's a huge area. It'd take years to cross that normally. That's truly difficult, said Wukong. Truly difficult. Nothing in the world is difficult, said the Patriarch. Only the mind makes it so. That is unbelievably true. That's good advice. That is very good advice. When Wukong heard these words, he bowed and implored the Patriarch, Master, if you do perform all service for someone, you must do it thoroughly. May you be so merciful to impart to me this technique of cloud soaring. I would never dare forget your gracious favor. The Patriarch said, when the various immortals want to soar on the clouds, they all rise by stamping their feet. But you're not like them. When I saw you leave just now, you had to put yourself up by jumping. That is true. What I'll do now is teach you the cloud somersault in according to your form. Wukong again prostrated himself and pleaded with him, and the Patriarch gave him the oral formula, saying, make the magical sign. Recite the spell, clench your fist tightly, shake your body, and when you jump up, one somersault will carry you 180 miles. When the other people heard this, they all giggled and said, lucky Wukong, if he learns this little trick, he will become Okay, hold on, pause for a second. 180,000 miles. My apologies. I was kind of shocked by the word 180. Shaking your body, and when you jump up, one somersault will carry you 180,000 miles. My apologies there. I've never done an audiobook before. Also, what the fuck? That is such a surprising number. 180,000 miles. So, once again, this is not supposed to be like a professional audiobook or anything. Let's do a little test. How far is 180,000 miles? What is a good example of that on Earth? I don't know. Let me look it up. What? Okay, so to give everyone listening an example, it is almost 180,000 miles is almost the distance. It's like a couple thousand miles off. It is almost the distance of the Earth's equator. Like the full width of the Earth's equator 7 times. So he can jump around the Earth 7 times. Huh. He can be lucky Wukong. This is the others giggling. If he learns this little trick, he can become a dispatcher for someone to deliver documents or carry Celestials. He'll be able to make a living anywhere. The sky now began to darken, and the master went back in the cave, dwelling with his pupils. Throughout the night, however, Wukong practiced and mastered the technique of cloud somersault. From then on, he held complete freedom, blissfully enjoying his state for long life. One day, early in the summer, the disciples were gathering under the pine trees, and followers discussed. They said, Wukong. Followers were discussing. They said, Wukong, what sort of merit did you accumulate in other incarnations that led the master to whisper in your ear the other day? The method of avoiding 3 calamities, have you learned anything? I won't conceal this from my various elder brothers, Wukong said, laughing. Owning to the master's instructions in the first place, my delights and vigilance day and night. In the second, I have fully mastered several matters. Let's take advantage of the moment, one pupil said. You try to put on a performance and we'll watch. When Wukong heard this, his spirit was aroused and he was more eagerly what does that mean? Was more eagerly spirited to display his powers. More eagerly spirited. I've never heard that. I invite the various elder brothers to give me a subject, he said. What do you want me to change into? Why not a pine tree, they said. Wukong made the magic sign, and the spell, with one shake of his body, he changed into a pine tree. Truly it was. You know, sitting here now, getting this far in the book, we're on page 30 currently. Keep in mind I think there's usually about 10 or 7 or so paragraphs per page in this version I'm reading. I'm thinking about how certain celebrities might read this shit, right? Like what about certain celebrities? How would they read this? I would pay good money to have Samuel L. Jackson read this book. I honestly would. An audiobook of that shit would be fucking amazing. Anyways, when the multitude saw this, they clapped their hands and roared with laughter, everyone crying, "Marvelous monkey! Marvelous monkey!" Very, very odd thing to say. They did not realize that the uproar had disturbed the patriarch, who came running out of his door ragged and dragging his staff, most unpleased. He said, with a determined voice, "Who is creating this bedlam here?" What? At his voice, the pupils immediately collected themselves, set their clothes in order, and came forward. Wukong also came back into his true form, and slipping into the crowd, he said, "For your information, reserved master, we are having a fellowship and discussion here. There is no one from the outside causing any disturbance." The patriarch angrily said, You were the all yelling and screaming, yes? And were behaving in a manner totally unbecoming of those practiced of civilization. Don't you know that those in the cultivation of Tao resist opening their mouth lest they lest they breathe and spirit, or having their tongues less provoked by arguments. Sounds like it's a hard way to exist. Or like live. There are all these laughing noises here. There are all these laughing noises here. How dare you not conceal this from the master, the crowd said. Just now, we were having fun with Wukong. Who was giving us a performance of his transformations. He told him to... Of him we told him to change into a pine tree, and he did indeed become a pine tree. Your pupils were all applauding him, and our voice disturbed the reverend teacher. We beg for forgiveness, one of the pupils spoke. Go away, all of you, the patriarch said. You, Wukong, come over here. I asked you, what sort of exhibition were you putting on? Changing into a pine tree, this ability you now possess, is not for showing off to people. It's supposed to be something which would save your existence. Suppose you saw someone with this ability, wouldn't you ask him at once how to acquire it? Indeed, of course you would. So when others see that you are in possession of it, they'll come begging. If you're afraid to refuse them, you will give away the secret. If you don't, then you may be hurt. I see. You're actually placing your life in grave jeopardy with such things. I beseech thee, master, Wukong said, to forgive me. I will not condemn you, said the patriarch, but you must leave this place. When Wukong heard this, tears fell from his eyes. Where am I to go, teacher? He asked. From whenever you came, the patriarch said. You should go back there. I came from the East Continent, Wukong said, his memory jolted by the patriarch. For the water curtain cave of Flower Fruit Mountain in the Isle country. Go back there quickly and save your life, the patriarch said, and you cannot possibly remain here. Allow me to inform my esteemed teacher, Wukong said. I have been away from home for 20 years, and I certainly long to see my subjects and followers of bygone days again, but I keep thinking that my master's profound kindness to me has yet to be repaid, therefore I dare not leave. There is nothing to be repaid, said the patriarch. See that you don't get into trouble, and don't involve me. That's all I ask. Seeing that there was no other alternative, Wukong had to bow to the patriarch and take his leave of the congregation. Once you leave, the patriarch said, you're bound to end up evil-doing. Damn. Okay, fair enough. I don't care what kind of villainy or violence you engage in, but I forbid you from ever mentioning that you are my disciple. For if you but utter the word, I know about it. You can be assured, wretched monkey, that you'll be skinned alive. I will break all of your bones and banish your soul to the palace of ninefold darkness. Wow, I'm gonna use that. From which you will not be released even after 10,000 afflictions. I will never dare mention my master, said Wukong. I'll say that I've learned this all by myself. Having thanked the patriarch, Wukong turned away, made the magic sign, pulling himself up. He performed the somersault cloud. He headed straight towards the east continent. And in less than an hour, he could already see the flower fruit mountain. Less than an hour. This bitch can cross the entire globe multiple times. How large is this planet? Are we talking fucking fairy tale size? Like the fairy tale universe? How big its planet is? Criminy Christmas. God damn. You telling me this motherfucker could have jumped all that way the whole fucking time, but he never went back? God damn. God damn. And the water curtain cave, rejoicing secretly. The handsome Monkey King, that's the first time he was actually called the handsome Monkey King since the start of this whole, tutoring of his, said to himself, I lift, weighted down by my bones and mortal stock, the Tao attained makes light both body and a flame. With my frame been renewed, 'tis this world's pity that none firmly resolve themselves to learn such mysteries that by itself is plain. 'Twas hard to cross the seas in former time. Returning this day, I travelled with ease, the world of farewell still echoing in my ears. I near hope to see soon the eastern depths. Wukong lowered the direction of his cloud and landed squarely on the floor of the flower fruit mountain. He was trying to find his way when he heard the call of cranes and the cry of a monkey. The calls of cranes and monkeys reverberated in the heavens, and the cries of the monkey moved his spirit with sadness. Little ones, he called out, I have returned. Oh, I see. For the cranes flew from the cliffs, from the flowers and bushes, and from the woods and the trees, small in size, great in number. They leapt tens of thousands and surrounded the handsome Monkey King. Huh. So there's a bunch of monkey, it's just a bunch of monkeys here. They all kneeled and cried, Great King! What latex of mind! Why did you go away for such a long time and leave us here longing for your return like someone hungering and thirsting? Recently, we have been brutally abused by a monster who wanted to rob us of our water curtain cave. Out of sheer desperation, we fought hard with him, and yet all this time that fellow has plucked many of our possessions, kidnapped a number of our young ones, and given us many restless days and nights watching over our property. How fortunate that our great king has returned. If that great king had stayed away for another year or so, the entire mountain cave would have belonged to someone else. Hearing this, the great king, Wukong, was filled with anger. What sort of monster is this? He cried. That behaves in such a lawless manner. Tell me in detail, and I will find him and exact revenge. Be informed, great king, the monkeys cried, bowing. That the fellow calls himself the monstrous king of havoc. Oh, does he now? The monstrous king of havoc, and he lies to the north here. Wukong asked, "For here is the place. How great is the distance?" The monstrous king of havoc. I also now realize, because of how large these pages are, I'm probably going to have to separate this audiobook into multiple parts to get it on YouTube properly, as YouTube does have like a maximum length, and I read very, very slowly, and I also make comments like this because, this is casual. I'm not doing this professionally. The monstrous king of havoc. What a fucking name. Okay. The monkeys replied, "He comes like the clouds and leaves like the mist, like the wind and the rain, lightning and thunder. We don't know how great the distance is." "In that case," Wukong said, "I'll go and play for a while, and don't be afraid. Let me go and find him." "I'll go and play around for a while. Don't be afraid. Let me go and find him." Dear Monkey King, he leapt up with a bound of his somersault cloud, all the way to the northern ward until he saw a trail of rugged mountains. What a mountain! Its pen-like peaks stand erect. Its winding streams flow unfathomably deep. Its periled peaks stand erect, cutting through the air. Its wind streams unfathomably deep, reaching the devastating streams of the earth. On two ridges flowers reveal trees of exotic charm. In various spots pines march bamboo and green like a dragon left behind. Seems doth declare and tame. The tiger on the right seems gentle and meek. Iron ox on occasion are seen plowing. Golden coin flowers are frequently planted. Rare flowers make mildew songs and sages. The phoenix stands facing the sun, rocks worn, smooth and shiny. But the water, placid and bright, appears to by turns of a grotesque, bizarre, and fierce. In countless numbers are the world's most famous mountains, where flowers bloom and wither in the night. They flourish and die. What a place resembles this lasting long scene. Wholly untouched by 4 seasons and 8 epochs. Epochs? Okay. This is in the 3 regions: the mountain of North Spring, the Water Belly Cave, nourished by 5 phases. Huh. The handsome Monkey King was silent, viewing the scenery, when he heard someone speak. He went down the mountain to find who it was, and he discovered the Waterbelly Cave. At the foot of the steep cliff, several imps who were dancing in front of the cave saw Wukong and began to run away. "Stop!" he cried. "You can use these words all your months to communicate thoughts of your mind. But I am the Lord of the Water Curtain Cave in the Flower Fruit Mountain of the South. Your monstrous king of havoc, or whatever he's called. Wow. Or whatever that fucker's called, yeah. Whatever that fuck guy's called. He repeatedly bullied my young ones, and I have found my way here to recite the lyrics of my revenge. for only one specific purpose of settling, typo there, settling is S-E-T-T space L-I-N-G, matters with him. Hearing this, the imps darted out into the cave and cried, "Great King! What? A disastrous thing has happened." Well, not yet. "What sort of disaster?" asked the monstrous king of havoc. The fucking book doesn't even remember his name. I think that's purposeful. I honestly think that's purposeful. The monstrous king of havoc. Outside the cave, said the imps, there is a monkey who calls himself the Lord of the Water Curtain Cave in the Flower Fruit Mountain. He says that you have repeatedly bullied his young ones and that he has come to settle matters with you. Laughing, the mountainous king of havoc, that has to be purposeful, said, "I have often heard those monkeys say that they have a great king who has left the family to practice self-cultivation. He must have come back. How is he dressed? What kind of weapon does he have?" "He doesn't have any kind of weapon," the imps cried. "He is barehanded, wears a red robe and a yellow sash, and has a pair of black boots on. He looks like neither a monk nor a layman, neither a Taoist nor an immortal. He is out there making demands with naked hands and empty fists." When the monstrous king of havoc heard this, he ordered, "Get me my armor and my weapon." These were immediately brought out by the imps, and the monstrous king of havoc put on his breastplate and helmet. Grabbing his scimitar, he walked out of the cave with his followers. "Who is the Lord of the Water Curtain Cave?" he cried, with a loud voice. Quickly opening his eyes to take a look, Wukong saw the monstrous king, who on his head a black gold helmet, which gleamed in the sun, and on his body a dark silk robe, which swayed in the wind. Lower, he had a black iron vest, tied tightly with leather straps. It must be the breastplate. His feet were shaded in finely carved boots, grand as those of warriors great, 10 span with wrath of his waist. With the 10 spans, with the width of his waist, 30 feet, and the height of his frame. That's a really weird way to put that. I guess that's old way to put that. He held his hands. In them remained a sword. Its blade was fine and bright. His name, the monster of havoc, of the most fearsome form and look. I guess the book wants me to put together what he looks like in my head. You have such big eyes, reckless monster, but you can't even see old monkey," the Monkey King shouted. When the monstrous king of havoc saw him, he laughed and said, "You're not 4 feet tall, nor are you 30 years old. You don't even have a weapon in your hands. How dare you look for me to settle accounts? Insolent. You reckless monster. Wukong cried. You are blind indeed. You think I'm small? Not knowing that this is hardly difficult for me to become taller. You think I'm without a weapon? But my 2 hands can drag the moon down from the edge of the heavens. Don't be afraid. Just have a taste of old monkey's fist. My 2 hands can drag the moon down from the edge of heaven. Damn. He leaped into the air and aimed a blow smack at the monster's face. Parrying the blow with his hand, the monster's king of havoc. You have such... What? Oh, I've heard people use this term before. You have such a midget, and imso. I'm so much taller. But yet, you are, compared to I, a midget. What the hell? What does that term mean? I believe it's actually pronounced mumget. You have such a mumget. It's okay. So it's supposed to be describing something that is weak. So in this case, he catches Wukong's punch and he says, "You have such a mumget." Essentially saying he is weak. And then he says, "I am also so much taller than you. You are practically a midget." So he's insulting his strength and his height. Okay. That was really, really oddly put together. Sorry, this book has a lot of like really weird, like old terminology. Mumget. Huh. It's describing something that is short, weak, and stubby. Which, in this case, is all of those. You want to use your fist, but I have my scimitar. If I were to kill you with it, I would be a laughing stock. Let me put my scimitar down, and we'll see how you can handle a fist fight. Well said, fine fellow, replied Wukong. Come on. The monstrous king shifted his position and struck out. Wukong closed in on him, hurling himself into the engagement. The 2 of them pummeled and kicked, struggled and coiled with each strike. It is easy to miss on a long reach, but a short punch is firm and reliable. That is true. That is true. And that is like very good advice for fist fighting in general. Also, if you're up against an opponent that is particularly tall and thin, usually the human body can't handle a good frame like that. Usually, you just target the joints. Push on their joints, and because of how the human body is built, someone who's really tall and thin or really tall and muscular, their body actually has a hard time like keeping itself up. I used to do boxing back in the day. A lot of martial arts, actually, but that was before COVID, unfortunately. Anyways, Wukong jabbed the monstrous king in the short ribs, hit him in the chest, and gave him such a heavy punishment with a few sharp blows that the monster stepped aside, picked up his huge scimitar, and aimed it square at Wukong's head and slashed at him. Wukong easily dodged, and the blow quite missed him. Okay. Seeing that his opponent was growing fierce, Wukong now used the method called body beyond the body plucking of handful of hairs. What is this ability called? The body beyond the body plucking a handful of hairs. Okay. From such, he plucked a handful of hairs, literally, from his own body and threw them into his mouth. He chewed them to tiny pieces and then spat them out into the air, Charge! He cried, and then charged at once. 2 more, 3 more, 200 more, 300 more. Little monkeys encircled the. Whoa! He literally, yeah, he has a shadow clone jutsu, essentially. This is where shadow clone jutsu came from. Anyways, combined on all sides. For you see, when someone acquired the body of an immortal, he can project his spirit, change his form, and perform all kinds of wonders. Since the Monkey King had become accomplished in this way, every one of the 84,000 hairs on his body could change into whatever shape or substance he desired. The little monkeys he had just created were so keen of eye and so swift of movement that they could not be wounded by neither sword or spear. Look at them! Skipping and jumping, they rushed at the monstrous king and surrounded him, some hugging, some pulling, some crawling in between his legs, some tugging his feet. They kicked and punched, they yanked at his hair and pulled at his eyes. Ooh. They pinched his nose and tried to sweep him completely off his feet until they tangled themselves into confusion. That is a very interesting idea. Meanwhile, Wukong succeeded in snatching the scimitar, pushing through the raggle of little monkeys, and brought the scimitar down squarely on the monstrous king's skull, cleaving it in two. He and the rest of the monkeys then fought their way into the cave and struggled with and strangled all the imps, young and old. With a shake, he collected his hairs back into his body, but there were so many monkeys that did not return to him. They were little monkeys kidnapped by the monstrous king from the Water Curtain Cave, and they were found here. Oh. Okay, so these are like monkeys that are not him. Why are you here? Asked Wukong. 30 or 50 of them all said tearfully. After the great king went away to seek the way of immortality, the monstrous menace for 2 whole years, and finally carried us off to this place. Don't these... I see. Don't these utensils belong to our cave? These stone pots and bowls were all taken by the creatures. If these are our belongings, Wukong said, then move them out of here. Take them back to the cave. He went, then set fire to the water belly cave and returned it to ashes. You set fire to a cave? I suppose if there's things in that cave that can burn. But normally stone and minerals don't burn unless it's something like coal or gases. But whatever, he's magic. All of you, he said, follow me home. Great king, the monkeys said, when we came here, all we felt was wind rushing past us, and we seemed to float through the air until we arrived here. We don't know the way. How can we go back home? Wukong said. That's a magic trick of his. But there's no difficulty. I know not the only way thing, but 100 ways. I'm familiar with that trick too. Close your eyes, all of you, and don't be afraid. I know not that way, but 100 ways. Okay. Dear Monkey King. Huh. He recited the spell, rode for a while on the fierce wind, and then lowered the direction of the cloud. Little ones, he cried, open your eyes. The monkeys felt solid ground beneath their feet and recognized their home territory. In great delight, the page failed to load. Every one of them ran back into the cave alone. With familiar roads and crowds in together, with those waiting in the cave, they then lined up according to age and rank and paid tribute to the Monkey King. Wine and fruits were laid out for a welcome banquet. When asked how he had subdued the monster and rescued the young ones, Wukong practically relished every detail, and the monkeys broke into unending applause. There you go, great king, they cried. We never expected that you would acquire such skills. The year I left you all, Wukong said, I drifted with the waves across the eastern ocean and onto the western continent. Then I arrived at the south continent, where I learned human ways. Wearing this garment and these shoes, I swaggered around. Along with the clouds for 8 or 9 years, but I had yet to learn the great art. Then crossed the great western ocean and reached the western continent. After searching for a long time, I had good fortune and discovered an old patriarch who imparted to me the formula for enjoying the same age as heaven, the secret of immortality. Such luck to meet even after 10,000 afflictions, the monkeys said, all congratulating him. Little ones, Wukong said, laughing again, another delight is that our entire family now has a name. What is that name of the great king? My surname is Sun, he replied. And my religious name is Wukong. Then the monkeys heard this, all clapped their hands and shouted happily, if the great king is elder son, then we're all junior sons, sons the third, sons the small, tiny sons, the Sun family, the Sun nation, the Sun cave. So they all came and honored elder son with the large and small bowls of coconuts and grape wine, of diving flowers and fruits. It was indeed one big family. Lo, the surname is one, the self's return to its source. The glory awaits, and recorded in the heavens such a name. What a thing, eh? What a thing. We did not know what the result was, and had Wukong would fare in this realm, lest the explanation be heard next chapter. Okay, so this is starting chapter 3. 4 seas and 1,000 mountains all bow and submit. From ninefold darkness, 10 species, names are removed. Okay. Now we were speaking of the handsome Monkey King's triumph. Returned to his home country after slaying the monstrous King of Havoc and wresting from him his huge scimitar. After practiced daily with the little monkeys, the art of war, teaching them how to shape bamboo, make spears, file down wood for making swords, arrange flags and banners, go on patrol, advance and return, and pitch camp. Okay, so he's making an army, is what he's trying to say. After a long time he played thus with them. Suddenly he grew quiet and sat down, thinking out loud to himself. The game we were playing will many time turn out to be something quite serious. Suppose we disturb the rulers of humans, or the fowl and beasts, and they become offended. Suppose that these military experiences of ours, bamboo, swords, and spears, we must sharpen swords and fine halberds, but we can do none such as at the moment. The great king's observation is sound, said one of the monkeys. But where can we obtain these things? Oh boy, I think I know. As they were speaking, 4 older monkeys came forward. 2 female monkeys with red buttocks and 2 bareback baboons. Come to find the front, they said, Great King. Oh? To be furnished with sharp-edged weapons is a very simple matter. How is that? Wukong asked. The 4 monkeys replied, East of our mountain, across 200 miles of water, is the boundary of the Io country. In the country there is a king who has numerous men and soldiers in his city, and there are bound all kinds of metalwork. If the great king goes there, he can either buy or have them made. Then you can teach us how to use them for the protection of the mountain. And this will be the stratagem for assuring ourselves of punity. I see. When Wukong heard this, he was filled with delight. Play here, all of you, he said. Let me make a trip. Oh boy, when he goes somewhere, it usually ends badly for everyone there. Dear Monkey King, he quickly reformed his cloud somersault and crossed the 200 miles of water in no time. On the other side, he indeed discovered a city with about broad streets and huge marketplaces, countless homes and numerous acres. Under the clear sky and bright sun, people were coming and going constantly. Wukong thought to himself, there must be ready-made weapons around here, but going down there to buy a few pieces for them is not good. Bargaining as acquisitioning them by magic. Oh, I see. He therefore made the magic sign and retained a spell. Facing the ground on the southwest, he took a deep breath and then blew out. At once it became a mighty wind, hurling pebbles and rocks through the air. It was truly terrifying. Thick clouds and vast formation moved the world. Black fog and dusty vapors darkened the earth. He's stealing it all. I see. wolves and tigers taking flight. Traders and merchants were gone for from stories and shops, along with their stores. Not single man was seen such a day, matters or malls or walls. The king retired to his chamber from the loyal court. Officers, marshal, and civilians returned to their homes. Officials bound by the wind. The wind toppled Buddha's throne of 1,000 years and shook its foundation, the 5 Phoenix Tower and all. Damn. What a thing. A wind took and separated the king from his subjects in the Ion country. So I'm guessing he's going to go and steal all these fucking weapons. In fact, I think I know that's what he does. Throughout the various beloveds and marketplaces, every family gloated and glued to their windows and doors. No one dared go outside, for when Wukong lowered to the ground, they all watched in horror at his cloud. And he rushed straight for the Imperial Guard. He found his way into the armory, knocking open the door, and saw that there were countless weapons inside. Scimitars, spears, swords, halberds, battle axes, sickles, whips, rakes, drumsticks, drums, bows, arrows, forks, and lances. Every kind was available. Highly praised, highly deadly. Wukong said to himself, "Oh, how many pieces can I possibly carry just by myself? I better use the magic of body..." Okay, this is the fucking technique again. Body division to transport them. The great Monkey King plucked a handful of hairs, chewed them to pieces, and spit them from his mouth. Reciting the spell, he cried, "Change!" They changed into thousands of little monkeys who snatched and grabbed the weapons. Their eyes strong, looking upon the 16 pairs of each weapon they grabbed. The weaker ones even took 3 or 4 pieces of armor each. No monkey was empty-handed. Wukong mounted his cloud with his magical monkeys and all of his duplicates, and by the calling of the wind, he jumped back all the way to Flower Fruit Mountain. Well, we tell you now about the various monkeys, both great and small, who were playing outside the fruit. They were playing outside, eating the fruit of the Flower Fruit Mountain. Then suddenly they heard a sound of the wind and saw midair a huge horde of monkeys approaching, the sight of which made them all flee in terror and hide. In a single moment, Wukong lowered his cloud, and shaking himself, he collected the pieces of hair back in his body. I see. All the weapons were placed on the ground in front of the mountain. "Little ones," Wukong shouted, "come and retrieve your weapons." The monkeys looked and saw Wukong standing alone on the ground level. They came running, asking and bowing. What happened? Wukong recounted that he had stolen many powerful weapons from an armory of a kingdom nearby, both swords, axes, spears. Each of the monkeys scrambled for one of their weapons. Shouting and screaming, they played all day long after that. The following day, they marched in usual formation, assembling the monkeys. Wukong found there were 40,000 of them. 40,000. This assembly greatly impressed all the wild beasts of the mountain: wolves, insects, tigers, leopards, deer, mouse, fowl deer, river deer, foxes, wild cats, badgers, lions, elephants, apes, deer, bears. It's mentioned deer 4 times. Bears, leopards, boars, greenhorned buffalo, wild hares, and even great mantis, led by the various kings of no fewer than 72 caves. They all came to play with the monkeys and pay homage to the Monkey King. Henceforth, they brought annual tributes, and they called the role of the Monkey King one of their own. This was held every season. Some of them joined in the weapon gathering and the maneuvers. Others supplied provisions and accounted for the military. In an orderly fashion, they made the entire flower fruit mountain as strong as an iron bucket. That's a iron bucket or a city of metal. That's an interesting saying. The various demon kings also presented metal drums, colored banners, and helmets. I see. While the handsome Monkey King was enjoying all of this, he suddenly said to the multitude, "You have all become adept with the bow and arrow, and proficient in the use of weapons, but this scimitar of mine is truly cumbersome. Not at all to my liking. What do you think?" The 4 elder monkeys came forward. Scratching their chins, they looked at the weapon. "The great king is a divine sage, and therefore is not fit for him to use an earthly weapon. We do not know, however, whether the great king is able to take a journey through water." Wukong is actually one of the things he's bad at, is fighting in water. "Since I have known the way," Wukong said, "I have the ability of 72 transformations. The cloud somersault has unlimited power. I am familiar with the magic of body transmogrification and the magic of duplication. I can find my way to heaven, or I can enter the earth. I can walk past the sun and the moons themselves without casting a shadow. And I can penetrate stone and metal without hindrance. Water cannot drown me, nor can fire burn me. Where is this place that I cannot go? It's a good thing that the great sage," they're calling him great sage already, "possesses such power," said the 4 monkey elders. "For the water below is sheet iron bridge, or okay, of our flowers decor, and into the dragon palace you may, of the eastern ocean, seek. If you are willing to go down there, great king, you will find an old dragon king, from whom you request some kind of weapon. Won't that be to your liking?" Hearing this, Wukong said with delight, "Let me make the trip." Dear Monkey King, he jumped to the bridgehead and employed the magic of water resurrection. Making the magic sign with his fingers, he leaped into the waves, which parted for him, and followed the waterway straight to the bottom of the ocean. This is the Eastern Ocean. As he was walking, he suddenly ran into... Oh, God. I want to say that's Yakasa on patrol, who stopped him with a question. What divine sage is this who come pushing through the waters? Speak plainly, so I can announce your arrival. Wukong said, I am the heavenly born sage Sun Wukong of the Flower Fruit Mountain, a neighboring mountain on land. I am a neighbor of your old Dragon King. What is it that you don't... How is it, that you do not recognize me? When the Yakasa heard this, he hurled back into the crystal water palace to report. Great King, he shouted. There is an outsider, a heaven-born sage from Flower Fruit Mountain named Sun Wukong. He claims to be a neighbor? He is soon to arrive at the palace. Agumwe, I believe that's how you pronounce that, Agumwe, the king of the Eastern Ocean, arose immediately, accompanied and accepting of his dragon sons and grandsons, shrimp soldiers and crab generals. He came out for the... Oh, God. He came out for the recompense and the meeting. High immortality, he said. Oh, high immortality of the high immortal. That's an odd way to pronounce that. High immortality of the high immortal, he said. Very well. Please, let him in. They went to the palace for proper introductions, and after offering Wukong the honored seat and tea, the king asked, when did the high immortal become accompanied in the way? Accompanied in the way? For your accomplishments have even reached me. What kind of divine magic did he receive? Wukong said. Such the time of my birth, I left my family to practice cultivation. I have now acquired a birthless and deathless body. I have been teaching my children how to protect our mountains' caves, but unfortunately, I am without appropriate weaponry. I have heard that my noble neighbor, who was long lived enough to enjoy such things as green jade and tea, in his high green jade palace, and it shall hit me that perhaps maybe a divine weapon in this armory you could spare. That was a really weird paragraph. I came specifically to ask of one of them, if you have any, that is, that would suit me. When the Dragon King heard this, he could hardly refuse, so he ordered a commander to bring out a long-handled scimitar and present it to the visitor. Old monkey doesn't know how to use a scimitar, said Wukong. I beg you to give me something else, something a bit more simple. The Dragon King then commanded a whirlwind of his lieutenants together, with an eel, a pottery crab, and 9-forked squids. What the fuck is a 9-forked squid? He ordered them to jump down and go retrieve something light. Wukong took upon this strange 9-forked pronged spear. Oh, it's a 9-forked squid, 9-forked pronged spear, okay. And tried thrusting it a few times. He put it down and says, much too light. Light. Much too light. And it doesn't suit my hand. I beg you to give me another one. Something a bit heavier? I am mortal, said the Dragon King, laughing. Won't you even take a closer look? This fork weighs 3,600 pounds. It doesn't suit my hand, Wukong said. It doesn't suit my hand. The Dragon King was becoming rather fearful. Yeah, I don't blame him. He ordered a brime of his crab generals to carry a giant halberd weighing 7,200 pounds. When he saw this, Wukong ran forward and took a hold of it. He tried a few thrusts and a few strings. Maybe like it means like strings of thrusts. Setting it down to the ground, he stuck it in by the blade. He said, "Still too light, much too light." The old Dragon King was completely unnerved. Hi, immortal. That stutter is in the book, by the way. He said, "There's no weapon in my palace heavier than this halberd." The Monkey King laughed and said, "As the old saying goes, who worries about the Dragon King's lacking treasures? Go and look some more, and if you find something I'll offer you a good price." "There really aren't any more here," said the Dragon King. As they were speaking, the Dragon Mother and her daughter slipped out and said, "Great King, we can see that this is definitely not a sage with a meager ability or cultivation. Inside our ocean treasury is a piece of rare magical iron by which the depths of the heavenly rivers is fixed." Jingu Bang. This is where it comes in, I remember. "These past few days, the iron has been glowing with strange and lovely light. Could this be a sign that it could be taken out to meet the sage? With that said, was the measure with which the great Yu fixed the depths of the rivers and oceans when conquered the floor. It is a piece of magical iron, but of what use could it be to you? Let's not be concerned with whether he can find any use of it," said the Dragon Mother. "Let's give it to him, and we can do whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants with it. The important thing is to get him out of this palace." Smart lady. The old Dragon King agreed and told Wukong the whole story. "Take it out and let's see what you make of it," said the great Dragon King. Waving his hand, the Dragon King said, "We can't move it. We can't even lift it. The High Immortal must go there himself to take a look." "Where is it?" Wukong said. "Take me there." The Dragon King, accompanied by his family, led the great sage to the center of the ocean treasury, where all at once they saw 1,000 shifting golden lights pointing to one spot. The Dragon King said, "That's it, the thing that is glowing." Wukong giddied up and put his proper face on and went forward to touch it. It was an iron rod more than 20 feet long and as thick as a barrel. Using all his might, he lifted it with both hands, saying, "It's a little too long and too thick. It would be more serviceable if it were to be shorter and thinner." Hardly had he finished speaking when the treasure shrunk a few feet in length and became a multitude of layers thinner. Smaller still would be even better, Wukong said, giving another bounce of his hands. The treasure again became smaller. Highly pleased, Wukong looked at the treasure. Highly pleased, the Wukong looked at the treasure and took it out of the ocean treasury to examine it properly. He found a golden hoop at each end, with solid black iron in between. Adjacent to the hoops, there was an inscription. Okay. The compliant golden hooped rod. Weight 13,500. He thought to himself in secret delight, this treasure, I suppose, it must be the most appealing, and it must be most appealing to me because it complies with my direct wishes. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of realizing now just like how fucking strange some of the lingo in this book is. But in all honesty, I am actually enjoying it. Where were we? This is a different recording session, if you can't tell. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to start releasing these parts in different shit. I don't have water. In different sections, one at a time, because the video is probably somewhere around 3 hours by now. But getting into it, as he swagger walked, he deliberately held his head high. Okay, I was just saying it's strange. He dedicated his mind and muttered to himself, bouncing on the rod, up and down like a tree, shorter than thinner, shorter and thinner. Marvelous! By the time he took it outside, the rod was no more than 20 feet in length, and it held the thickness of a rice bowl. How thick is a rice bowl? See how he displays his power now. He wielded the rod to make lunges and presses. Oh, engaging in mock combat. Okay, so he's like using the rod to lengthen and shorten itself. All the way to the water crystal palace. The old Dragon King was terrified that he shook in fear, and the dragon princesses were all panic-stricken. Sea turtles and tortoises drew, aren't those the same thing? In their necks, fish, shrimp, and crabs all hid themselves away in shell and crevice. Wukong held his treasure in his hands and sat in the water crystal palace laughing. He said to the Dragon King, I am inebriated with this. Thank you, my good neighbor, for his profound kindness. Please don't mention it to anyone. I added the anyone, don't worry. Please don't mention it, said the Dragon King. The piece of iron is very useful, Wukong said, but I have one further statement to make. What sort of statement does the High Immortal wish to make? Asked the Dragon King. Wukong said, Had there be no such iron, I would have let the matter drop. Now that I have it in my hands, I can see that I am wearing the wrong kind of clothes to go on with this life. What am I to do? If you have any martial-appearing clothing, you might as well give it to me. I would thank you most heartily. This, I confess, is not in my position, or neither my possession to create or make, said the Dragon King. Wukong said, oh god. A soldiery knight and a solitary guest will not disturb two hosts. Even if you claim to not, you don't have any. I shall never walk out this door, then. Let the High Immortal take the trouble, or go another ocean. That's odd. Or go another ocean. Maybe it's supposed to say go to another ocean, but it just says go another ocean. Huh. Okay. Go another ocean. Said the Dragon King he might turn up something there. To visit 3 houses is not as convenient as sitting in one, said Wukong. I beg you to give me one outfit worthy of my title. I really don't have one, the Dragon King says. If I did, I would have presented it to you. Is that so? Wukong said, tilting his head. Let me try out my iron on you, then. High Immortal, the Dragon King said nervously. Don't ever raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. Let me see whatever my brothers have, and we'll try to give you one. Where are your honored brothers? Said Wukong. Where are ... Where are your honored brothers? Said Wukong specifically. They are, said the Dragon King. Okay, I'm gonna try. Apunin, Dragon King of the South Ocean. Ashwin, Dragon King of the Northern Ocean. And Auruin, Dragon King of the Western Ocean. Old Monkey King. This old Monkey King is not going to their place, said Wukong. For as the common says goes, 3 inbound and compete with 2 in hand. 3 inbound cannot compete with 2 in hand. Okay. I merely requested to find something casual and give it to me. That's all. There will be no need for that, High Immortal, said the Dragon King. I have in my palace an iron drum and golden bell. Whenever they are used in emergency, we will beat the drum and strike the bell, and my brothers will be here shortly. I just got a message. Okay. In that case, Wukong said, go beat the drum and strike the bell, he said, hurrying the Dragon King on with the massive iron rod. Turtle generals went at once to strike the bell while the crustaceans and marshals came to beat the drum. Soon after the drum and bell sounded, the Dragon Kings of 3 more oceans got the message and arrived promptly, all converging on the courtyard. Elder brother, said Aquin, what emergency made you beat the drum and strike the bell? Maybe it's a fucking important one, you dumbass. Now listen up. There's a giant suicidal monkey in there. Suicidal? Sorry, I mean homicidal. Good brother, answered the Dragon King. It's a long story. You have here a certain heaven-born sage from the Flower Fruit Mountain who came here and claimed to be my neighbor. He's not wrong there. Subsequently demanded a weapon. The steel fork I presented, price of rare divine iron, which the depths of Heavenly River were fixed, and used it for mock combat. He is now sitting in my palace and also demanded some sort of battle dress. We have none of that here, so we said we shall sound the drum and strike the bell to invite you all to come. If you here have such an outfit or anything to offer, please give it to him so that I can send him out this door. Aquin heard this. He was outraged. Let us brothers call our army together, said he, and arrest him. What's wrong with that? Don't talk of arresting him, the old dragon said. Don't talk about arresting him. That piece of iron. Oh, this is a fucking amazing quote right here. Of that place, that piece of iron, a small stroke with it is deadly. A light tap is fatal. The slightest touch will crack the skin, and the smallest rap will injure muscle. The Dragon King of the Western Ocean said, Second elder brother should not raise his hand against him. Let us rather assemble an outfit for him and get him out of the palace. We can then put in a formal complaint to the heavens, and the heavens will send their own punishment. You're right, said the Dragon King of the North Ocean. It's not using their name for some reason. I have here a pair of cloud-treading shoes that color of a lotus root. Then the Western Ocean Dragon King said, I brought along chariots of great chainmail made of yellow gold and beautiful celestial thread. And I have a cape with extracted phoenix plums made of red golden thread, said Aquin, the Dragon King of the Southern Ocean. The Dragon King was delighted and brought them into the celestial palace of water crystals. To present the gift, Wukong dutifully put them on, the golden cape, the golden chain mail, and the cloud-treading shoes, and wielding his overly compliant rod. Wielding his overly compliant rod, he fought his way out of the mock battle, yelling to the dragons, sorry to have bothered you. The Dragon Kings of the four oceans were outraged, and they consoled together about fitting a formal complaint, of which they make no mention here. Look at the Monkey King. He opened up the watery ways and went straight back to the head of the Steel Bridge's street. The four old monkeys were laden. The other monkeys are waiting beside the bridge and suddenly held Wukong out of radiant gold, beholding him. Great King, the monkeys cried. What marvels have you brought? Beaming broadly, Wukong ascended his high throne and set up the iron rod next to the center. Oh, that actually happens in the game. Not knowing any better, all the monkeys came and tried to pick the treasure up. It was rather like a dragonfly attempting to shake an ironwood tree. They could not even budge it. Not even a single inch. Even the strongest of all the baboons desperately tried, biting their fingers and sticking out their tongues. Every one of them said, "Oh, father, it is so heavy. How did you even manage to bring it here?" Wukong walked up to the rod, snatching it forth in his hands. He picked it up. Laughing, he said to them, "Everything has its owner. This treasure has concluded that I am its. It was from the ocean treasury of the old Dragon King, who knew it for many thousands of years, and happened to recently start glowing. It is a piece of black iron, though it only said to be the divine rarity which fixed the bottom of the heavenly rivers. All those followers and followers together, all could not lift or even move it, and they asked me to take it myself. At first, this treasure was more than 20 feet long and as thick as a barrel. After I struck it once and expressed my feelings that it was too large, it grew smaller. I wanted it smaller still, and again, and again, and again it grew smaller, each time I wished it. For a third time I commanded it. It grew smaller still. When I took it in, it was light. It had on the inscription, "The compliant golden hooped rod, weight 13,500 pounds. Stand aside, all of you. Let me ask it to go through some transformations." He held the treasure in his hand and called out, "Smaller, smaller, smaller." And at once it shrank to the size of a needle, small enough to hide inside the ear of the astounded Monkey King. The monkeys cried, "Great King, take it out and play with it some more. This is amazing." The Monkey King took it out of his ear and placed it in his palm. "Bigger, bigger, bigger," he shouted, and grew it to the thickness of a barrel, and then more than 20 feet long. He became so delighted playing with it that he jumped onto the bridge and walked out of the cave, grasping the treasure in his hands. He began to perform the magic of the cosmos. What? Bending over, he cried, "Grow!" And at that once to be 10,000 feet tall, with a head like that of a Thai mountain, and the chest like a rugged peak, eyes like lightning, and a mouth like blood and bowl, teeth like swords and halberds. The rod in his hands was such a size that it topped, reaching 33 heavens, and its bottom the 18 layers of hell, tigers, leopards, wolves, and crawling creatures, all the monsters of the mountain, the demon kings, the 72 caves. The 72 caves. Oh, it's missing a letter. It's missing some letters. It's missing 2 letters. The 72 caves. Weird. Were so terrified that they bowed and paid homage to the Monkey King in fear and trembling. He revoked his magical appearance and changed the treasure back into a tiny needle. Embroidery needle, I believe it is. Yeah, a tiny needle fit for embroidery. And stored it in his ear. He returned to the cave dwelling, but the demon kings of various caves were still frightened, and they continued to come pay their respects. Imagine, this is a very interesting world where you can just Hulk out super hard and just go, "Bah!" and people will start giving you stuff. At this time, the banners were unfurled and the drums sounded, and the brass gong struck loudly. The banquet of hundreds was given, and the cups were filled to overflowing with fruit of vines and juices of coconut wine. They drank and feasted for a long time. They were engaged in military exercises as before. The Monkey King made the 4 old monkeys mighty commanders of his troops, by appointing 2 female monkeys with red buttocks as Marshal Mi and Lu, and the 2 bareback gorillas as General Bing and Ba. The 4 mighty commanders, whomever, were entrusted with all the matters of function, pitching, camps, rewards, and punishment. Having settled all this, the mighty Monkey King felt completely at ease to soar on the clouds and ride the mist 1,000 miles, tour the 4 seas, and disport himself in 1,000 mountains, displacing his martial skills and displaying them to the world. He made an executive visit to various heroes and warriors performing his magic. He made many good friends. At that time, moreover, he entered into an alliance with 6 other monarchs: the Bull Monster King, the Dragon Monster King, the Gardan Monster King. Oh, Garden Monster King. The Lux Monster King. What the fuck? The Lux Monster King and the Linux Monster King. The Lynx, sorry, Monster King. What the hell's a Lux? What is a Lux? What is a Lux? Because I thought that was Lynx at first, but no, Lynx is next. What is a Lux? A Lux. What is a Lux? It is also a type of snowcat. Smaller. It's actually much smaller. It's about the size of a normal house cat. Okay, so it's like a lynx, except smaller. Where were we? The ornated Monster King and together with the handsome Monkey King, they formed a formal order of 7. Day after day, discussing civil and martial arts, exchanging wine cups and goblets, sung and danced to the songs and strings. They gathered in the morning and parted in the evening. There was not a single pleasure that they overlooked. Converging in a discussion of 10,000 miles, as if it were but a span of that of a one country yet. And as if it was the span of a single country, as saying it has it. One nod of a head goes further than 3,000 miles. One twist of a torso covers more than 800. One day, the 4 mighty commanders had been told to prepare a great banquet in their own cave, and the 6 kings were invited to feast. They killed cows and danced and sang, and they all drank until they were thoroughly drunk. After sending the 6 kings off, Wukong was rewarded himself by a lovely hangover. Thus, he rewarded his great leaders and with small gifts of pine trees nearing the sheet iron bridge. He fell asleep next to him. He fell asleep next to him, his rod unused. Not daring to raise voices in his sleep, the handsome Monkey King saw 2 men approaching with a summon with 3 characters, Sun Wukong, written on it. They walked up to him and, without a word, tied him up with a rope and dragged him off. The soul of the handsome Monkey King was reeling from side to side. I forgot about this part. They reached the edge of the city, the Monkey King gradually coming to. When he lifted his head, he suddenly saw above him an iron gate bearing the letters 3, Region of Darkness. The handsome Monkey King at once became fully conscious. The Region of Darkness is the abode of the Yama, King of Death, he said. Why am I here? Your age in this world of life has come to an end, the 2 men said. The 2 men... I see. The 2 of us were given this summon to arrest you. When the Monkey King heard this, he said, old Monkey himself, has transcended the 3 regions and the 5 phases. Hence, I am no longer under Yama's jurisdiction. Why is he so confused that he wants to arrest me? The 2 summoners paid and close attention, yanking and pulling. They were determined to haul him inside. Growing angry, the Monkey King whipped out his treasure. One wave of it turned into a thickness of a rice bowl, and he raised hands once again and the 2 summoners were reduced to ash. Untying the rope, he freed his hands and fought his way into the city. Wielding the rod, bull-headed demons hence ran and hide in terror, and horse-faced demons, Gozuki and Mizuki is what they're called, I believe, fled in every direction. A band of ghost soldiers, Genki, ran up the darkness side of the palace, crying, "Great king, disaster, disaster." Outside, there's a hairless-knuckled, hairy-faced thunder god fighting his way in. Oh my god, this is amazing. A hairless-knuckled, hairy-faced thunder god? Their report alarmed the 10 kings of the underworld so much that they quickly straightened out their attire and went to see what is happening. Discovering a fierce and angry figure, they lined up according to rank and greeted him with a loud voice. "High Immortal, tell us your name. High Immortal, tell us your name." "I am the heaven-born sage Sun Wukong from the Water Curtain Cave in the Flower Fruit Mountain," the Monkey King said. "What kind of officials are you?" "We are the Emperors of Darkness," answered the 10 kings, bellowing. "The 10 kings of the underworld, tell me each one of your names at once," said Wukong. "I'll give you a drubbling." The 10 kings said, "We are Quigtornirus, King of the Beginning River, King of the Song Emperor, King Avengis, Minister, King Yama, King of Equal Ranks, King Time Mountain, King of City Markets, King of the Complete Change, and King of the Turning Wheel. Since you all have announced the thrones of kingship," Wukong said, "you should be intelligent." "No?" "Oh, you should be intelligent, no? In the ways of rewards and punishment. Why are you so ignorant of good and evil? Old Monkey has acquired the Tao and attained immortality. I enjoy the same age as heaven, and I have transcended the 3 realms and leapt clear of the 5 phases. Why then did you send men to arrest me?" "I am mortal," the 10 kings said. "Let your anger subside. There are many people in the world with the same name and surname. Couldn't the summoners have made a mistake?" "Nonsense, nonsense," said Sun Wukong. "The proverb says, officer clerks, but this is real. It's not me stuttering this time. It says officers, clerks, but the summoner never, but..." Well, that's an odd way to say that. "But the summoner never ears." I know what that means. I've seen that term before, I believe. Registering the births and death. Quick to bring out registers of births and deaths, and let me have a look. When the 10 kings heard this, they invited him to go into the palace to see for himself. Holding his compliant rod, Wukong went straight up to the Palace of Darkness and faced south, sat down in the middle, and 10 kings immediately had the judge in charge of the records bring out the books for examination. The judges, who did not dare trifle, hesitated onto the side of the room, brought out 5 or 6 books of documents and ledgers. On then 10 species of living beings. He went through them all, one by one. Short-handed creatures, furry creatures, winged creatures, crawling creatures, and scaly creatures. But did not find his name. Then he proceeded to the file on monkeys. You see, though this monkey resembled a man, he was not. He was not listed under men. Though he resembled a short-haired creature, he did not dwell under the kingdom of short-haired creature. Though he resembled another animal, he was not subjected to the unicorn. And though he resembled a monkey, although he resembled a monkey, yet he was a great immortal. While he could fly, he was not judged as a flying creature. He was not governed by the phoenix. He had, therefore, a separate ledger, which Wukong examined under the heading Soul 1350. He found the name Sun Wukong recorded with the description Heaven-born stone monkey, age 3,040 years old. A good end, Wukong said. I really don't remember my age. All I want to do is erase my name. Bring me a brush. The judges hurriedly fetched the brush and soaked it with heavy ink. Wukong took the ledger of monkeys and crossed out all the names he could find in it. Throwing down the ledger, he said, "That ends the account. That ends the account. Now I'm truly not your subject. Now I will take my leave." Brandishing his rod, he fought his way out of the realm of darkness. The 10 kings did not dare approach him. They went instead to the Green Cloud Palace to console the Bodhisattva king. Jesus Christ, how do you say that? Kisigaraba? And made plans to report the incident to the heavens, which does not concern us for the moment. Foreshadowing. While our Monkey King was fighting his way out of the city, he suddenly caught a clump of glass and stumbled. Waking up with a start, he realized that it was all a dream. Yeah, sure it was. Sure it was. As he was stretching himself, he heard the 4 commanders and the various monkeys cry aloud, "Great King, how much wine did you imbue? You've slept all night long. Aren't you awake yet?" "Sleeping is nothing to get excited about," Wukong said. "But I dreamed that 2 men came to arrest me, and I didn't perceive their intentions until they brought me to the outskirts of the realm of darkness, showing my power. I protested right up to the Palace of Darkness and arranged with the 10 kings. I went through our ledger of births and deaths and crossed out all of our names. These fellows have no hold over us anymore." I see. Amazing.